All right, let's jump into the reread, guys. Here we go. We're going to get into the Ainulindalë, right? Ainulindalë, Ainulindalë, we all know Lindalë in just a minute. But, last time we had like this false start, right? Where we kind of started into the Silmarillion. Was that like a couple years ago?
It feels like an eternity ago. I was going to say, too, before we get into this, I did not go back and re-listen to that.
I didn't either.
I have no idea what we said. I have no idea.
Was that intentional on your part?
Yeah. No, I thought about it today. I thought, should I go listen to it? And I was like, no, I definitely don't want to. But I was like, I should probably say something just to let people know. Like, I may have said something profound and have no idea. I may even say things that contradict what I said before, which I think will be interesting.
I also thought, too, I'm like, I kind of wonder if I'm going to repeat myself. You know what I'm saying? I wonder how much stuff. But at the same time, I didn't want to go back and listen because I was like, I don't want to listen to my own thoughts. Even though they were, like our initial thoughts, I don't want to listen to us, because, however many years later, 2 years later, whatever, we're different people.
For sure.
Right? What we're going to pull out of this could be vastly different. It could be exactly the same. You never know.
Could be the same, yeah. But and this time, as you were leading into there, we're going to start with this with the letter. I don't think we did that last time. I'm pretty sure we did not.
Time. I think we might have like glossed over it, but definitely we didn't like dig into it like we, wanted to this time, or at least kind of like pay some respect to it.
Yeah, and in that in of itself, we shows like as we've been talking, I found this letter fascinating, and it's an hour-long listen, and I believe I could be wrong. People can correct me on this. I think it's letter 131, according to some of the sources I have here. Could be wrong about that, but the point is that it's long. I don't even know that the whole thing is in here. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's a freaking dense.
It's a big one. Yeah.
It's a big one, and it does give you kind of the summaries of the first, second, and third age, and there's a lot of conversations there that Tolkien, he's really summarizing. And as Lane, we were talking about, like, how much of this do we go into, and we probably won't go into all of it because there are some, especially the first age stuff, we're going to be covering that in the Silmarillion. It is a bit of a spoiler, but if you know it and I don't know if you've read the Silmarillion before and you haven't read that letter and you haven't gone through in detail, I think it's great to hear from the man himself. I really do. I didn't used to think that, and I just wanted to give me the story, the plot points, etc. But now seeing this and hearing how he talks about what he wanted to do and what he wanted to accomplish with all of this and here's the other thing too. I did not realize, and he's very explicit in saying that here, how this was all meant to be one piece.
Yeah, that's something that, unless you go digging for it, you don't even realize. And then you start thinking about, like, oh my gosh, so he wanted to publish Silmarillion, these Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all in one volume, which would have been, especially, we were talking about this too, kind of before, like over the last few weeks. I was like, can you imagine at that time too, how much money it would cost to publish all that together? Right? It would have been it would have been cost prohibitive. It would have been so expensive, but in his mind, he was and so this letter to Milton Waldman is because he's so, it's like a pitch, essentially. It's a pitch to justify his reasoning or really just kind of to communicate his desire to have this as one big, long saga published together, how they belong together, how they're all connected. And so he gives kind of like the, an abbreviated version of the origins, some of his intentions for writing the Silmarillion, and then why they should all be fit together and how they all interconnect. And it's incredible. But to think about that, it would have been impossible. How many pages would that have been? It would have been, an extra, 400 pages on top of everything else that we have. And who knows if he would have gone through and developed it even more and made it longer, because in this version of the Silmarillion that we have here, it's the abbreviated versions of, like, the Children of Húrin and Beren and Luthien. Like, they're not the more well-developed, lengthier versions, right? That's what
sure. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about, like, if you're a modern day publisher and you have, I think of George R.R. Martin, who's bringing in like a freaking huge 73 chapter book, it better sell. It better do well because. That's what I think that would have. I think even, well, maybe this is just, I don't know if this is in here or not, but it's not in here. But it's the fact that it would have bankrupted them, right? It would have been.
Yep.
They just couldn't do it.
Yeah, the risk that the publishers would have had, committing to something like that There was no guarantee, right? And there's no guarantee. And then how expensive would the book have been with all those extra pages and that, like, you know, that weight? And then, yeah, it would have been like monumental. And that's the reason, you know, I mean, we're also thinking too, like, of our 3-in-1 Lord of the Rings copies, those big biblical, you know, fat wads. And that's not how they were published. They were published in 3 parts only because that would have been, again, cost prohibitive. So we have the Fellowship of the Ring that comes out the next year, 2 Towers, the Return of the King, and he never wanted them broken up that way anyway. But it was literally just a way for them to go, okay, it'll drive sales if people like the first book. Also, it'll be more manageable for us financially as a publishing company to put them out put these stories out one at a time, break them into a trilogy. So that way, instead of 1,200 pages, it's 300 at a time, something like that. So 400, whatever it was. So yeah. But just again, he's not thinking about that. Tolkien's not thinking about the cost. He's not thinking about the publishing, obstacles you have to overcome. He's thinking about the story and how he wants clearly. And that's something that came across too in reading this forward, in reading the letter, how important it was for him that these stories also be read, right? Like he would have wanted you guys like you and me who enjoyed Lord of the Rings, who enjoyed The Hobbit, to go back to some of his earliest stories to find enjoyment there. So again, just a whole nother reason that this kind of gatekeeping that goes on with Silmarillion is just shouldn't happen, right? Like he was
no way, yeah. Absolutely.
He and especially Christopher Tolkien were trying to not, disallow that. They were like they could have kept these secret. They could have kept them themselves, and instead he we learned about how hard he worked to compile all these, to make sense out of it, to put some kind of order to it, to look through his father's other writings for clues as to like what needed to be where, like timelines and revisions that he made over time. And it's like remarkable. Again, I almost think like the older I get, not only does my respect and love for John Ronald Reuel Tolkien grow, but like Christopher Tolkien, it's unbelievable. It's like I don't even know of a comparison. It'd be like if Michael Jordan's son had been like Scottie Pippen or something. I don't even know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan's son would have been LeBron James. To follow up with like in a different way, what he creatively did in like piecing all these stories together is just as impactful as his father's creation of the world in the first place, and the languages in the story. Like the way that he was able to protect them and promote them, I think you could argue is just as great a feat. Especially with half the time without his dad being there to help make those decisions, right? I mean, like for 40 years, he went on, going through his father's work and protecting it and having different versions and updated editions published, and would have had to go back to those letters, would have had to think back to conversations they had when he was like 20 or 30 and probably was like, yeah, whatever, Dad. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that to me is, that's something I didn't want to skip out on this time. We talked about it. We're like, I was like, dude, I started reading and I almost always skip the forewords and the preface and whatever things in the front. And I thought, why? That stuff's there for a reason, And if we're gonna get into this and like dig in and see it from a new perspective, we should probably talk about it and look into it. And you're like, dude, you were thinking the same thing, which is crazy.
Had the same thought, and just to kind of like just to echo some of what you're saying here. The letter, the intentionality of putting this letter at the beginning of the Silmarillion, what it does is it shows you from Christopher's perspective that this is his father did intend for all these things to be one big legendarium, right? And that they were meant to be this continuous mythology. And if you only read the books like I did back in the day, or just we watched the movies and then read the books or whatever, you don't know. Yeah, you hear about the Silmarillion, you wonder how it's connected, you wonder why wasn't it published, or was it? What's the deal? Like what's the context to this, right? And so to see this letter put in here is him explaining this to his editor, and it's amazing. Yeah. And the best, one of the best lines, and I'm gonna go ahead and read it here, is he said, "But once upon a time, I had a mind to make a body of more or less connected legend." Ranging from the large, right, to the level of romantic fairy stories, the larger founded on the lesser, in contact with the earth, and the lesser drawing splendor from the vast backcloths, which I could dedicate simply to England, my country. That's what he wanted right there. He wanted to kind of build this connected legend that he could dedicate to his country. He does reference the Arthur tales, King Arthur, and that world, right? But he says that it was, in his words, but powerful as it is imperfectly naturalized, associated with the soil of Britain, but not with English, and does not replace what I felt to be missing. So for one thing, it's fairy, which when he says fairy, it's sort of like, let me go back and see what he really means by
mythology, like mythological.
Right.
Yeah. Like greater fairy stories, fairy
stories. Yeah, it says it's too lavish and fantastical, incoherent, and repetitive. Yeah. I mean, it just flat out okay.
Right. So maybe the opposite of mythology, actually, a little more, on the fairy tale side. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says for another, more, and the most important thing is that it's involved in and explicitly contains the Christian religion, which he mentions that a lot. He says that he does not think. Well, here he goes on to say, for reasons which I will not elaborate, that seems to me fatal. Myth and fairy story must, as all art, reflect and contain in solution elements of moral and religious truth or air, but not explicit, not in the known form of the primal real world. So, and he's talking about how some of that stuff will, this modern Christianity or religion, and he's even talking about his current times, where in which he was writing this in 1951, how those things trickle into art and story and fairy story and mythology. And so he felt like there was too much of that, and it did not feel like a real mythology. It didn't feel like a real legend. There may be real legendary stuff there to it, but it to him felt like it was, I don't know, maybe contrived or too.
Yeah, it's him guarding against allegory too, right? Like he talked about, what did he say at one point? I formally and altogether detest allegory. Like he did not like one-for-one translations, and how he was all about creating stories that were applicable, that could be, applied to anyone's lives, from any part of the world could access a story. Yeah. Without being bound to some kind of belief system or even period of time, right? And so that's another reason that he didn't want any of that stuff to be, like you said, explicitly put into the story, because then it almost becomes the main focus of the story. Instead of the story itself, it becomes this messaging. It becomes this almost like some kind of subliminal thing that's like, well, you got to pick up on this because this is what it's really about. I'm trying to pitch something to you, versus just literally creating a mythology. And it's great because even the Arthurian stuff came from, God, I can't remember if it came from when the French came over or whatever. It was not even strictly English. There was another line in there too that I loved. I think it's right before what you said. Like, he was just grieved by the poverty of my own beloved country. Like you read this letter and you're like, dude, he was so patriotic. Like he was so he was obsessed. And you think about that too. You think about how he loved languages, and languages come from areas and groups of people, and like identity and culture that comes like through all parts of his writings. But I think back to especially the Lord of the Rings, right? You've got elven culture, and even within elves, there are different types and different cultures within that, or subcultures within that greater culture. And then you've got the dwarves, who are very different, and even amongst men, they're all different types. There are high men, there are men that are they're the Dunlenders, they're in the hills. You've got hobbits, which are their own thing. All these different types of people, and how each one has a history that's important, that is interesting, that is full of its own stories and tales. I mean, I think that really comes through with like Rohan, when we hear them talking about, I don't know, just the Viking nature that they have, but it's not really Viking, but you can see how it got its inspiration from those cultures. And I just loved like thinking about that, how he was doing this, for his love of language, but also to like create this greater thing. Like he saw this need, and there was this gap in really in art, like within the history of Britain, and he wanted to fill that gap, fill that white space. Right, it was amazing, dude.
It's amazing, and so then that kind of moves us into the next part of this where he talks about his creative process, and he talks about how this was him more so recording, not inventing these.
Dude.
Which I thought was
dude, you know that sounds exactly like when Peter Jackson talked about the films, how he was like, we're in the actual locations, we're the luckiest film crew in the world, we've been given the source material, we're going to the actual places that these happened, we're using relics and costumes or clothing really from this actual thing that happened, and we're just bringing this story to life, to have like an historical approach to fantasy, which makes it like way more like mythological and epic than it would otherwise be. So yeah, that's so cool how that kind of is a mirrored approach, I guess.
And you mentioned when we first started talking about this, like some of these stories, when and where they came to him, and how like some of his first stories were, we think about the fall of Gondolin, and you like that's one of the first things that he kind of had going on in his mind. So he says here, of course, let's see, the mere stories were the thing. They arose in my mind as given things, and as they came separately, so too the links grew.
Yeah.
So what he said, and by the way, this man with his words, like, it does take me time sitting down and actually.
Oh, you got to reread it. Yeah.
You got to reread it. Yeah. He's such a wordsmith, man. I mean, it's crazy. Yes. We gush over it, and when we did the original reread, and we're going to do it again here because he can cover so much ground in one compound complex sentence that it's sort of like anyway. But just to go back to this, so the mere stories were the thing. They arose. The stories arose in his mind as given things, and as they came separately. So the stories as they came separately, so too the links grew. So these stories came separate in his mind. Well, one over here. This would come to him. Well, that's kind of connected here. Yep. And he goes on, and I'm not sure it's in this exact spot where I'm at. Well, actually, maybe it is. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. I'll just read it. So, of course, I made up and even wrote lots of other things, especially for my children. Some escaped from the grasp of this branching theme, right? Being ultimately and radically unrelated. So he's got Leaf by Niggle, Farmer Giles. Is that, yeah? Yep. For instance, those were two that had been printed, and they escaped, right? These were stories that were separate things that were coming to him that he was having thoughts about, and these were more for his children. And he says that it's funny about the Hobbit. He says the Hobbit, which was much more essential, the Hobbit, which has much more essential life in it, was quite independently conceived. I did not know as I began it that it belonged, but it proved to be the discovery of the completion of the whole, its mode of descent to earth and the merging into history, as the high legends of the beginnings are supposed to look at things through elvish minds. So the middle tale of the Hobbit takes a virtually human point of view, and the last tale blends them.
Isn't that beautiful? Gosh,
I was like, yeah, okay. I knew that, that some of it, because he had to go back and they rewrote some of the Hobbit and the stuff with the ring and Gollum and different things, and that story was there. And I love how he explains that, because you're sort of like, well, how does someone like this create? He didn't start with in his mind, I don't believe, the Ainulindalë. I don't know. I mean, like the creation of all things. I think that is first, and that's, like even the story of Galadriel, we often talk about that comes into his mind later, but it's important. And no, she was there, and this is the story that she had. So when you look at like how he was whittling things down and coming to these conclusion to canon things that he was going to publish, right? And then his son gives us the most clear cut of that. It's amazing. It's honestly amazing. Just his creative process and the recording of those tales, and not really inventing them, but they're coming to him. They're given things in his mind.
Yes. I was just going to say, like the muse, he was literally so receptive to inspiration and the muse, and not really, the thing I love about, and that's, he describes it perfectly there. He wasn't like predetermining stuff. He wasn't saying like, well, other than these events, I guess, but not even those kind of came to him. These events came to him like almost like, what did he say? He found them. What was the term?
Yeah, that they
always been there.
They arose in his mind as given things. Yeah.
So these things that he's like almost like he realizes instead of imagines or creates, these events that he realizes, and then just waiting for, I don't know, and being open to editing it along the way and revising it, changing it if he had to, go back and changing, a characterization or an event that he had already written, and putting some kind of different motivation or underlying whatever thematic stuff there that he was just so willing to do that. He saw it again when we're going to get into the Ainulindalë, and it's like the thing about the Ainulindalë that struck me the most was how it was really kind of like a prosaic description of the creative process. It literally is like you have this idea in your head, you have this inspiration, right? And then you open your eyes and you're like, oh crap, it's not real. It's not real. And then you have to battle and fight to fashion it and bring it into reality. And you'll try a first edition or a first draft and it doesn't work out, and you got to scrap it. You got to go back to the beginning, or you take certain bits that you like and you move on. And yeah, that creative spirit and process that's so beautifully explained in the Ainulindalë is the same thing that he himself had, a fluid kind of like receptiveness to being inspired, to seeing how these stories could interweave, to again another given character coming to mind and being like, well, they would have been here this whole time. How can I go back and make sure that they're mentioned or alluded to, or that their presence is at least acknowledged, to show that this character is a part of a greater history? It's incredible, man. Like, it's incredible. And I don't know. I'm sure there are people like that now who work like that, but this guy was just so different. He was just so...
Yeah, he was. And he was so confident.
Different.
He was so confident.
Man, he definitely, and he didn't care about what people were thinking. Again, like,
no.
He literally, I can't remember if he says it in this letter or not, but he was creating for the love of creation. Like, he was literally, like, the concept of publishing books never really entered his mind. And for a long time, he was criticized by his peers as, like, wasting his time. They said that he was wasting his time with this when he could have been, using his talents or his gifts or whatever, his expertise, for more academic pursuits, and how this was seen as not academic and kind of foolish, which is kind of mind-boggling to think about. Like, how many of those guys were jealous? How many of those guys just didn't understand? How many of those guys just didn't know that he was ahead of his time too? That he was doing something that would be beloved forever, that he was tapping into some kind of truth, that the veil was lifted for him. It's unreal.
And he actually says that there's a couple of these lines, like sort of starters to paragraphs, where he says, "Do not laugh," or he said, so you might think that I'm crazy for this, or like he kind of alludes to that a little
crazy.
bit.
Yeah.
So he kind of don't laugh and don't do this and don't this, but here I'm. And actually, the intro paragraph to the whole letter, he's talking to Milton. And he says, you asked for a brief sketch of my stuff that is connected with my imaginary world. It's difficult to say anything without saying too much. The attempt to say a few words opens a floodgate of excitement, which I love. Like, okay, he starts talking about this stuff and he can't help it. He has to keep going, and he just loves it so much.
Yes.
And so that desire is there, and he just goes on to say, like, he's just so pumped about it. I mean, really. He says, I shall inflict some of this on you, but I will append a mere resume of what it contains. So again, and we know that this is just a smattering of things. Now, to jump ahead again in this letter, and I think this is probably some of the meat and potatoes before you get into, he starts talking about first age, second age, third age. He goes through all the different ages actually and talks about the story of Sam and Frodo and whatnot. He does mention here at the beginning that his three main themes are the fall, mortality, and the machine. And I read that, and I'm sitting here going to myself, I'm sorry. I promise I won't do this a whole lot, but I think about the second age, and I think about the second age show, and I think about those themes. I'm like, so that theme of mortality could be so much, it would be so much better to show that without a time compression. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. Like when you talk about what is Tolkien's intent and he tells you right here in this letter what his themes were and what he wanted in immortality, humanity's bitterness or bittersweet gift, and burden, right? That's it's this gift that we're given. Death is a gift. It drives our creativity, but it's also our despair. It's sort of like our we have, I don't know, it's a mystery, but yet at the same time, it's different from what the elves and the firstborn are given, right? So that they have immortality, and it's this struggle, and I feel like that really was when the Númenóreans get a taste. Once they get a taste of extended life, they want more and more and more, and it's very hard to see that. It's hard to tell that any of them have extended life compared to other, like Theo and those guys who are over on in Middle Earth. So I just wanted to point that out. I mean, when I think sometimes people get critical of Lane and I because we're railing against this story for not being having the spirit of Tolkien in it, right here is he tells you what his stories are about. The fall, this moral spiritual decline of beings who end up desiring too much, and then mortality, and then the machine. He goes on to say, the machine is a more obvious modern form, though more closely related to magic than is usually recognized. And he goes into magic a little bit and what magic means in his world.
Yes, and I love what he said about magic too, because again, like especially during this time too, you would have said magic. You would have had a lot of people that he was sitting in pews next to, who would have said magic. Nope. That's an evil thing. That's that's the art of the Dark Lord. That's Satan, running to and fro on this earth. But I love how he, of course, as he does, right? Because I love using that word magic. I think you and I both. I think a lot of people who are into fantasy, who are into mythology, who believe in something greater. That doesn't have to be a dirty word. Doesn't have to be a bad word. I think for a long time it got politicized or used by organizations to control or whatever. But I love how he says that magic is broken into two kind of dominions, right? Art and domination, and how art is the good magic, domination is magic twisted and turned into a wraith and defaced and contorted and everything, and lesser than what it's supposed to be. Again, domination, the object of that is not art, it is power, right? And and you can see that. You can see even in this Ainulindalë, we have characters and beings and high spirits that fall into art and that fall into domination, those two. And you can think about people that it's like, do they lean more towards art? Do they lean more towards domination? That sort of, I don't know, the splintering of the magic, if you will. Yeah. It was
really cool. I mean, there's a whole paragraph on that, and I thought it's really cool that he explained that, and it's much...
Yeah, definitely.
It's a much higher kind of view of magic than I realized, and it makes me think
it's more nuanced, right? It's not just black or white.
It's
more nuanced. It's not like magic bad.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. The other thing you're talking about too with the immortality of the elves, I thought it was really interesting how, like, the elves and their struggle and their I don't know, like one of their main characteristics is that immortality, right? And then for men, it's morality, and how they both are kind of like envious of each other's gifts, right? How men want to know what it's like to live forever, like you said, and how elves kind of, they're envious of mankind as having like this limited amount of life, this gift of death, wherein when you are a man, you have limited amount of time. You've got less connection to or a greater blockage between you and the ethereal, and so morality becomes this bigger issue, right? Where it might be more difficult to do the right thing. It might be easier to do something that's not so good. Like to veer towards art might not always be the easiest thing. To move towards domination might be a little more readily available. And how, they both kind of course, as you do, you want what you don't have, right? Even elves and men are not above that in Tolkien's creation. So Yeah, and what's crazy is and we won't go into it, but I think as we go through the Silmarillion, it's important to come back to this letter. And the reason being is
he summarizes it so well.
He does.
Like he actually just explains this. And I think if anybody was struggling with the Silmarillion and you wanted to know what it's really about and you want to know what's kind of going on, it sort of front loads you with information about the themes. And he directly tells you what the first theme is and what's happening in the first age and what the elves are dealing with versus what the men are dealing with and how those two themes are sort of playing out. Like he gives you a play-by-play author's commentary on his own story.
He's like writing a synopsis of his own tale, essentially.
Yeah, with a little extra tidbits here and there that just give you some of the extra nuance, as you said, and things that I'm like, wow, okay, he just articulates it so well. And so when you go in there and you figure out, like, because you can get lost in Silmarillion in terms of like plot details and some of the characters and who's related to who and all those different connections, and because he kind of gets lost a little bit in terms of the names. I mean, and I say that in a nice way, in a good way, because there's so many different revisions to the names. He really the name mattered to him. It mattered, what it stood for and what it meant and what it represented. And so even as the story evolves and he figures out how that elf or that dwarf or man or whoever is in the story and what their role is going to be and how they contribute to the theme, that also it plays into what their name, their very specific name. So, okay. Anything else you wanted to kind of hit? I was going to say, like, they're like when I got to the third age stuff, my God.
See, I didn't even, dude, you know what? I didn't even read that far. I literally stopped.
And I'm only saying it because, like, if you haven't read it, like, he has in here, because this is stuff that people know, right? So let me skip ahead. He's just going. It's just cool to hear from the man himself talk about his own stories. So in the resulting war between Sauron, so I'm jumping ahead, third age, just for fun here for you guys. We're about to move into the Ainulindalë, but in the resulting war between Sauron and the elves of Middle Earth, especially in the west, was further ruined. Eregion was captured and destroyed. Sauron seized many rings of power. These he gave. Well, this is actually still Second Age. I think some of this is like the tail end of it. Let's see. These he gave for their ultimate corruption and enslavement to those who would accept them out of ambition or greed. Hence the ancient rhyme that appears at the beginning of The Lord of the Rings, the 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky. Like, he writes it all, he pins it all down again. You know what I mean? Like, it's just to think that the man himself was sitting there doing that and going over, and it's I don't know, it makes it like a special little spot to kind of reiterate this to Milton, who probably already knows, but he's just going on. And
he's tying it together. He's showing how it's so interconnected and how, again, this is a sales pitch. He's trying to tell what's this guy's name, Milton Waldman, that, hey, I know it's expensive, I know it seems crazy, I know it's, it could bankrupt you guys, but these stories have to be in one volume, like or he's at least just making the case for, who knows, maybe he just knew that me writing this letter will show historically my belief that these stories belong together, that they can be taken in isolation, but really they're part of a greater whole, like he said, earlier in the letter. Let me read one. So just something that's kind of fun here. Okay, sorry, because we're at the beginning of all things here, and I'm thinking about where we came from. With this, where this podcast started, and I don't know why you're apologizing. Just let's go, babe.
Dude, it's like, so he says, let me see. Okay, so passing the one ring. So while he wore it, this being Sauron, while he wore it, his power on Earth was actually enhanced. But even if he did not wear it, that power existed and was in rapport with himself. He was not diminished unless some other seized it and became possessed of it. If that happened, the new possessor could, if sufficiently strong and heroic by nature, challenge Sauron, become master of all that he had learned or done since the making of the One Ring. Let me read that again. Become master, so you could challenge Sauron, become master of all that he had learned or done since the making of the One Ring. It was like this spirit or knowledge that he had poured into the ring, right?
So dang. So that gives you a little bit of empathy of like the motivations of Saruman, right? You're like, oh, okay, maybe he wasn't totally wrong, but then that was it right there. You said the word master. And so in magic, that wouldn't fall under art. It would fall under domination, right?
True.
And putting other, lording over others, and the desire to control and to have power versus creation. So but that's wild, dude. I also did want to say I had a couple other things. You know how I go and I
sure. Yeah.
This is I don't think this is the exact allegory quote that I've heard in the past, but he does say it here again. He's reiterating a lot of stuff that is in other letters and other things that we've read that he was written. He just says, I dislike allegory, the conscious and intentional allegory, yet any attempt to explain the purport of myth or fairy tale must use allegorical language. So even understanding that you have to have, and of course the more life a story has, the more readily will it be susceptible of allegorical interpretations, while the better a deliberate allegory is made, the more nearly will it be acceptable just as a story. God, crazy. Just like the way he thought about the way his stories were going to be interpreted too is just unbelievable. And there was one more. Shoot, where was it, dude?
Why you look for
this?
It? Oh,
yeah, this is the one that I love. Sorry, I think I found it. Fairy tale purpose. Go ahead. Whatever you were gonna say.
Oh no! So when you were talking about allegory, I just was because I've heard him say that a lot, right? I've heard that be brought up. It's nice to hear him acknowledge that, like, there's a reason why a lot of us interpret it the way we interpret it, though. Depending on your faith, religion, your background, your history, where you come from, your life, and your circumstances, like that's how we interpret art, right? I mean, when we look at a painting or we look at something. We'll kind of make connections to it based upon our life. We have to tell our students at school when you're reading a book or when you're engaging with some text, we have text to self connections where it's just like what from me can I connect with this or what have you. And so the better that's written, the more connections we make. And what's crazy is just that like everyone that we talk to and anyone who has read The Lord of the Rings or has read these tales, they make such a real connection to them. You know what I mean? Like they really feel connected to this story, and it touches them and moves them and motivates them in a way that is awesome. And I feel like too, like us covering this where we are now in our lives is so good for us and so much better for us. I feel like before I don't feel like I was going to give it the time or the weight that it deserved. I don't think I was going to put the energy into it that I really needed to and wanted to. And so again, I'm glad we are, and again, this is for people who just listen straight through and didn't have the year of waiting for us to kind of get to the Silmarillion. They're like, what? I mean, why did you guys just start and stop? But we started and then we stopped and life got in the way. And so it's good to come back because that's also in impacting how I'm going to interpret these stories, like my past year of life and just where you and I have been and stuff. So it was cool to have him acknowledge that. I felt like that was important because it's true. So
okay, so I found it. It's the quote that we've all heard before, or many of us have heard before. It's kind of this idea that he was, really detailed and had these strong feelings about his own story, but that he opened the door for other creative people to play in Middle Earth, for your imagination to even run wild. You wouldn't even have to formally create anything, but just for him to, in the way that he was designing these stories, right? In the same way that he saw a gap and an empty space and room for him to create these stories, he even would do that within these stories themselves. He said, I would draw talking about the stories. I'll go back. It should be high and purged of the gross and fit for the more adult mind of a land long now steeped in poetry. I would draw some of the great tales in fullness and leave many only placed in the scheme and sketched. The cycles should be linked to a majestic whole and yet leave scope for other minds and hands wielding paint and music and drama absurd, right? So this concept to create something, again, that he had a great idea of, like he knew very well, there were specifics, but also to leave spots in there for other people to come in and play. And I think anytime people talk about, I don't know, like other creative minds in Middle Earth, right? And can be overly critical of it, and maybe and Tolkien probably would have been as well. I think he probably would have been. But like that right there is just this admission, and maybe he's saying too that maybe that's a crazy idea, but he's saying there that that's something that should be allowed. That should be allowed to do. you know?
Well, and that if you to tie it into the Ainulindalë, that's exactly what they do. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
You know,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Like you have Iluvatar, kind of the creator of all things, and each of the Ainur have a part of his mind, and they then can go create their own thing. And all of those things, though, are a part of his original creation and his thing that he creates, right? So, but he does allow for that because that's very important. There were some things that they all just kind of weave together and stuff. Right. So I think he was just was open to the idea that even in his own stories, there are like subcreation was a big thing that he was into, and
how that's honestly like a form of worship, isn't it? Like to I can't remember if he talks about it in this letter or not. Oh my god!
Hey, what do you draw? What
pod down, dude? Pod down.
Pod down. I'm not even looking at. Sometimes I'm looking over here at two different screens. I don't even see what you're doing over there.
Yeah,
you better calm down.
Oh man, dude, the thought just got driven right Butterburn moment. But what were you saying? It was
so just that this like subcreation and how cool that is. That
and just how that like creation itself is it's a form of worship. That's kind of what I was getting at, and how it's this desire. Again, I don't remember if he wrote it in here or somewhere else. I can't remember exactly where he wrote it, but that's like the evidence of the Creator within us is this desire to create. And again, like having other creative minds in Middle Earth. We're talking about how like he would have problems with Peter Jackson's movies. He would definitely have problems with Rings of Power. He would have problems with everything. I mean, he would look at concerning Hobbits, a radio drama. He would have plenty of problems with that as well. So I think to myself, you think about the creative powers in the Ainulindalë. You're one who fashions mountains, right? You're one of these great Ainur Valar who can raise a mountain to the heights through all the clouds from the bottom of the ocean, right? That doesn't mean that you don't have the freedom to look at a castle and say, I mean, I would have done something differently, to have that critical eye, but to also allow for that creation and to go, okay, I see what you're doing there. All right, that's kind of cool, especially if they stopped and realized that it's literally the same spirit. It's the same spirit just contained within another, right?
What we have to remember, and this is going to sound I'm going to sound so ridiculous right here, but like we have to remember that as far as creators in Tolkien, like whether it's like you said, Peter Jackson concerning Hobbits, Rings of Power, the animation films, all that kind of stuff, right? All those different things. We have to remember that even among all those different creators, and you have the Ainur, all of the Ainur, you had a Melkor. You did have a Melkor, and there are Melkor creators.
True.
It's nothing. It's again. That's why I can actually I think Melkor is interesting. I think his discord is sort of like very fascinating, and it's sort of like, wow, how did Iluvatar weave all of that together? We're really kind of blending, I think, this letter and then getting into the Ainulindalë. But
I think it's fitting though. I think it's fitting.
It's very fitting. So I think about that, and I'm going like, I don't agree with some of these other creators and how they're crafting things.
True that.
And you know what I'm saying?
Are you calling Rings of Power Melkor? Is that what you're doing?
I kind of did, but I know that I'll be called a troll for that. But that's okay. It's again, there are trolls in this story, right?
That's true.
There are trolls. There are dark, evil wizards. There are good wizards, and so I think that's life. And also, those people can change. Those people can say, I made a mistake, and I like Boromir. We love Boromir, right?
Yeah.
Like he apologizes, and it's
does.
So anyway, I think that was a really good point, though, just to think about the different creators and how I read that and I thought, that reminded me of George Lucas a little bit. And
exactly like George Lucas, yes.
Seriously, and I think he was very much into mythology. I've not ever heard him talk about Lord of the Rings.
About Lord of the Rings. Isn't that weird?
Or Tolkien. I think if I could ever interview him, I would ask him that question. Like, George,
that'd be amazing.
And if anybody has an interview or a clip or something where he's talked about it, that would be fascinating to me. And I would love to see it because in a lot of ways, he's like that. He's a student of mythology. He loved mythology, and he wanted to bring that to the screen. He's the first person to really capture and do that in such a grand way. And he's sort of again set the stage for Peter Jackson to come do okay, hey, we have that in book
quite
form.
a bit.
They're in partnership. I mean, so anyways, I just think like what George did was he allowed sub-creators. He allowed people to come in and create. It's a freaking galaxy. It's a whole galaxy. And I
think, dude, I've complimented George Lucas on this a bunch, especially when we've had conversations about him. It blows my mind because I think about how many people, most people, when you create something, you're so guarded of it. You're so protective of it. You're like, no, this is how it is. This is the only way it can be. and how that has its own merit as well, to be kind of like, because you, in all likelihood, something you create, especially like something like this, which is unbelievable, like all of his life. He says at one point, I started writing and I just never stopped, right? I started making these tales when I was little and just never stopped. And so something that personal, it tied into his identity, to then also be like, yeah, you know what? There's open space for other people. So for painting and music and drama and interpretation. And that to me is, again, it is a reflection of, you could go to Iluvatar, right? Like how he has all these themes that he gives to his children, and how he allows them to play and to listen and to figure these things out instead of him just telling, right? It's that free will concept, and how even creatives with their, I don't know, with their films or their literature or whatever, their music, when they are open to that free will with others and how they interpret it and their usage of it and their participation in it, I think that is just, dude, that's the essence of art. Like that is magic at its highest, to have that desire for collaboration and openness to see, okay, you took that theme, you're doing that with it. I mean, how many times did we see Iluvatar in this Ainulindalë, the creation, sit back and just kind of like, he's listening. He's not dictating, right? He's not trying to have dominion and power. He is giving tools and giving ideas and inspiration, and then watching it unfold. And even when it starts to go awry, dude, even when it starts to go kind of haywire and crazy, and there's discord, he's slow to be angry, right? The left hand, the right hand, then both hands, and it's a even when it's chaotic and going the wrong way, he still has I don't know. He gives us freedom amongst those involved in the creation. So
yeah. So something interesting. Yeah, no, dude, I 1,000% agree. And I'm so sorry. I don't mean to derail us again, but like, look at this book that this is the illustrated. You got me this. Thank you so much, by the way. This is the illustrated.
Problem. I don't even remember doing that, but you're welcome.
The Silmarillion, illustrated by the author.
Yeah, his illustrations are beautiful, man. They're crazy.
Unbelievable. Now you have a section in here that's not on my audiobook that I didn't listen to, that I didn't know was even here. It's called Notes on the Illustration. So if anybody has this, again, something cool to look into is this, and what this is it's an excerpt from let's see. J.R. Tolkien, artist and illustrator by Wayne Hammond and Christina Scull. And it refers to the history of Middle Earth, as well as the published Silmarillion, and to characters as Tolkien named them. So they're kind of doing their own like write-up on some of this stuff and giving you some notes and some takeaways on his illustrations, some extra tidbits, if you will. To the point where, again, this is maybe another book I need to check out. People have written a lot of different stuff in companion on Tolkien stuff, but they're talking here. They said in late 1916, Tolkien began to write his mythology as a fully formed narrative, the Book of Lost Tales. There he developed the history of Aman, the Blessed Realm in the West, and of Middle Earth, and what would become known as the First Age of the world. But before the Lost Tales were complete, he largely set them aside, probably to concentrate on writing his first major work of scholarship, a Middle English vocabulary, which was published in 1922. Wow. So to me, it was like, wow, it just has this whole history of like, okay, he started... Like they're going through some of the histories here of like he started to write this, then he stopped, then he had to publish this, and he came back to this later. And so the man just never quit on it, and they have so many cool things, just little notes and extra tidbits on the characters and what he was thinking. And so if you have a chance to get the illustrated version and you want to read that, I often default to my audiobook because I'm listening in the car driving to work, and it's not the same version as this illustrated version, and I just noticed it and I thought, dang, dude, like this is. It's an extra little gem, extra little Silmaril in there for me to pick through later.
Just a little nugget to go after, a little, another
come on
jewel.
Now.
He was also, I do remember learning this about his illustrations. He was super critical of his own illustrations, and often thought they weren't very good. And you look at them, and they're especially ones that he's completed all the way. He's had time to draw and then use ink and then watercolor. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, it's insane. Dude, I haven't even seen them all, but he apparently has a drawing of the halls of Manwë. And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
what,
wow.
dude? Like, are you like? So, anyways, there's so much stuff in here that I have to. I'm so excited for this version to get into this. So, okay, man. Okay, just any other thoughts before we dive into the Ainulindalë? Because we've already started talking about it. I mean,
no, and I think again, we could go on forever with that. We didn't even touch on the foreword that Christopher Tolkien wrote, but that's why this here. Mostly, we talked about this so that when you do your own read through, don't skip it. Read it, even if it feels kind of laborious or silly or whatever. You're not really into it. You'll find nuggets in there where you go, wow, this is amazing. And again, like if you want to read part of that letter that Tolkien wrote, just stop when he starts talking about the stories, because there's so much stuff before. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 pages before of just like, again, his motivation, his history of writing these stories, his desire to have them, to create this mythology that's told as one great. Well, what do they say? That he wanted to have it published in conjunction or in connection as one long saga of the jewels and the rings. Right. So yeah, it was worth the read. I'll just say that from someone who would have has skipped it in the past. I'm glad I didn't this time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so before we're gonna, I'll have Lane. We'll just read us a little summary of the Ainulindalë.
Oh, okay.
Before, just from the doc there, and I think you have it in just a quick, so people know where we're at. Real quick here, though. He has in this illustrated version, the Tale of Years. This is a manuscript title page, and maybe I'll show it to the screen here for just a second.
Yeah, let's see it.
If you're watching on YouTube and stuff, you can kind of see. Might be hard to.
Like he wrote it out? Oh my gosh, dude.
He wrote that out, right?
Wow.
And so what it says, and it's hard to read because again, it's beautiful writing. But the Tale of Years, from the coming of the Valar to the kingdom of Arda until the end of the first age of the children of Iluvatar, of the beginning of time and its reckoning. Time indeed began with the beginning of Ea, and in the beginning the Valar came into the world. But the measurement which the Valar made of the ages of their labors is not known to any of the children of Iluvatar until the first flowering of Telperion in Valinor. Thereafter the Valar counted time by the ages of Valinor, whereof each age contained 100 of the years of the Valar, but each such year was longer than are now 9 years under the sun. And again, it gets even harder to read because it's just kind of his script or whatever. For me, it's hard to read, but it's really cool though. And so there's this line here, thus spake, and I can't even pronounce the name concerning this matter. So thus spake this prophet or quote, or the scribe. I mean, whoever this person is.
Did you say spank?
On this. But no, I mean it's the idea that like he's not coming up with this on his own. He's just recording what so and so spake or spake.
It's almost like a page from an ancient religious text, right? A spiritual
like a scroll that he found.
Yes, and exactly. So I was up front. I was gonna maybe say this for the end, but I think I'll say it up front, right? Growing up, dude, help me keep an eye on this battery thing. I am so paranoid. I'm already down to 2/3. So I got to check this every hour. We've been recording for an hour. This is just a production note. Sorry, guys.
We're doing good.
On battery power with the Zoom, which we've done in the past, and it does not. They don't last as long as they should. I'll say that.
No, it's shaky.
It's shaky, baby. It's shaky. Here, we'll hold together. Hear me, baby.
Hear me, baby. Hold together.
Yeah. Growing up, right? So I know that there are lots of creation myths. Every group of people has grappled with, where we come from, our origins, the beginnings of everything. A lot of religious creation stories are very similar. Some of them even borrow from each other. Some of them are even the same for different religions, right? That the creation is essentially the same. But growing up, we were Christian, right? So we Genesis 1, right? The creation story. And I know the history because I was in Bible quizzing. All right, dude, I know that, and I went to a Christian college. I know Moses wrote the Pentateuch. He wrote the first 5 books of the Bible.
Did
and
he?
There are many people who believe that Moses was able to do that because of like his knowledge, but also divine inspiration, interpretation, that the Spirit spoke to him, and that he knew in full.
Come on.
Beyond his own time, right?
Beyond his own
but
time.
It's one of those things that even knowing all that stuff, whatever, learning all that stuff as a kid, I would always read Genesis 1, the creation, and I was just like, dude, what? Like, in the beginning there was God, and then he said, let there be light, and it was good. Cool. And then there's this, he said, let there be land, let there be water, and it was good. Okay.
Right.
It just always felt, I always read that and just thought, like, this is the best we could come up with. Like, how did it happen? What did it look like? How did he do these things? And I know that some of that is like, mysteries of the faith and, just believing and not needing to know everything in full. But it was really interesting. I can't remember if I put the poll on this one. I think we're going to talk about it on the next one. But I asked uppers on Instagram. That's where our polls are now. If you want to go partake in the polls, go follow us on Instagram. I asked people, I said, if you could, would you like to see the creation of all things? And I can't remember exactly. I want to say it's about 50% of people said yes. The other 50% said, nah, I'm good. But to me, I think so that this kind of longing for something more is not just for me, obviously. It's a lot of people who were like, man, I want more details. I want to know. And it's always kind of struck me as like, not, I don't want to say lame for fear of being sacrilegious, but kind of. I mean, kind of. You read and you're like, that's it. Like it feels so simple. It feels so
you're like, what
basic.
else, man? I mean,
yeah, and maybe that's the beauty of it too, right? Maybe it's like it's almost kind of structured that way to show that it was outside of time. It was before time. It was the beginning of time, and so there was nothing before it, right? But all that being said, you go into the Ainulindalë and you see essentially that story, right? But just told with characters that are named, with these great events that you can recount, that are memorable, that you can envision, conversations that happen, and essentially it is kind of like the extended edition of Genesis 1 is what it feels like. It feels like, we saw Genesis 1 in the theaters, whatever, and then a year later, director Peter Godson comes out with the extended edition, the Ainulindalë, and you get something so much more fleshed out. And I kind of wonder, I think to myself, was that desire also in Tolkien? Did he also have this desire for, again, it's arguably apart from, in the Christian faith, apart from the coming of Christ, and whatever comes after, you could say it's probably the greatest event, right? I mean, to go from nothing to the creation of all things is kind of a big deal. I mean, it's this
in the beginning.
In the beginning, dude. In the beginning, there was God. Right, yeah. And it's just like, what does that look like? Who all is involved? And I love Tolkien's interpretation of that. I love his kind of version and the way he imagines how it happened and who was there and what it was like. And I love that concept. Again, I know we talked about it 20 times. We're going to talk about it a couple more. But the fact that all of time, right? And again, in lots of faiths, you believe that God is above time. He knows everything that's happened. He knows everything that's going to happen. It's just this omniscience, this all-knowingness. And I love how here, we get all of, except for the very end, which is very interesting. The very end is kind of left opaque and sort of like curtained off. But they experience all of everything, all of time, all of creation laid out. And then it's something that is taken from them that they have to work out. It's just wild to me. It's wild.
Well, so I actually think, and I think he mentioned this in his letter. He's kind of talking about how you want to give pieces of this, but you can't give the whole thing. You know. And so again, he gives more, but still not everything. If that makes sense.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
It's still vague. Totally. It's still vague enough. There's still room. There's still white spaces to kind of explore. There could be more, and that allows you to imagine and to think. And that's subcreation right there. Is you and me going in and like, well, what about the Ainur who stayed back? Like, who are they?
Yes,
and
sir.
what did they do? I mean, just unanswered tons of questions. And like, okay, so there was the void, and where was his? I mean, because he describes his own place, his own dwelling, his own dwelling that he had for the Ainur. And you're like, okay, what did that look like?
Dude,
I mean, it's not, it's heaven, what we would think is heaven, but.
And that's the beauty, right? To not tell everything, but to tell enough that you're intrigued. And like, again, you're saying that, and I'm thinking questions in my head. I'm like, what did Manwe and Iluvatar have final words? Right? Because he comes to Arda and he would have been cut off, right? Essentially is what you're bound to that world. You kind of have, there's this sort of veil that you're no longer able to have direct access, in theory anyway. That's the way I interpreted it. Like, were there final words spoken? Was there some kind of great commission that he gave to the most powerful, or any of the Ainur who decided to come and be a part of the world? Like, that's wild to think about.
Right? Man. Yeah. What's that ceremony of
what is that
they're
ceremony?
There, and like, did they other Ainur, like they have this procession, they walk by them, and we think of them in carnal form, but they're really not, right? They're in spirit form, and then they're going to enter into the world. It's a crazy one to think about. It's just crazy to think about all those different things. I mean, the angels, if you will, God and his angels. And ironically, the Bible gives us more details about heaven than we get about, Iluvatar's dwelling. And I'm like, what's it look like? Is it four square? Is it the streets of gold? I mean, what?
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
But yeah, so okay, let's read that. Let's read that summary real quick in the doc, and then just we'll dive in here to it.
Yes, sir. Dude, actually, before we even do that, I was just kind of thinking to myself, man, I don't know. I know it's been a while.
Wow.
But I think maybe this time we go all the way back. We don't only start a Lord of the Rings podcast, but we go back to the Silmarillion, man.
Okay.
If we do this, though, we know we got to get the name right. We got to call it the right thing.
Right.
What do you think, man? Would you want to do this with me?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So we got to get the name just right. What are you thinking? You got any ideas coming off the top of your head? I was thinking maybe the Discord of the Rings instead of the Lord, the Discord.
The Discord of the Rings.
That's maybe might be reaching. I don't know.
That's good. I'm trying to think. Unexpected angelic music.
I like that, dude.
Off the top of my head. By the way, I had no idea I didn't know we were doing this. This is great.
We have to. I mean, I think it's just part of returning. Yeah, we're coming full circle to the beginning. How about the Me Lords and Melodies podcast? Melody. Is that too much? The Flame Imperishable podcast. The Ainulindalë podcast.
The Ainulindalë. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Well, we'll keep spitballing. Next time, I'll make sure that you get the production note,
so that way you know
that we can make this happen. But I just thought, I don't know, one of these days.
Yeah, one of these days.
Okay. Sorry. No more ado.
Dude,
no further
so
ado.
Good. So good. For full disclosure, people, I had no idea I was going to do that.
I snuck it in the doc. See?
I'm sitting here.
We are not scripted. We are not
scripted at all. God bless you. That's actually
Let's
fun.
take a look at the Ainulindalë. Here's a summary for you. The Ainulindalë describes how Eru Iluvatar, or Iluvatar, however you want to pronounce it, the supreme creator, brought forth the Ainur and shaped the world through their great music. I also love that. I mean, again, okay, I'm going to sidebar here. You got Lewis with Chronicles of Narnia, the singing of the world into creation music, and I think it's just such a beautiful way to imagine, the world. I was thinking about this the other day, but what is music? Well, what is music? Why do we do it? Why do we sing? Why do we play instruments? It's so, if you stop and step back and look at it, it is so bizarre. Mm-hmm. It's purely spiritual. Like, there's no, it affects our well-being physically, but it's only because it taps into something deeper. It's wild to even think about. All right, so they go through and the crazy music. Though the mightiest Ainu, Melkor, introduced discord into the harmony, Iluvatar wove even this strife into a greater design, showing that his purpose could not be overturned. The world they envisioned became Arda, where some of the Ainur entered as Valar and Maiar to guide and shape its destiny, while Melkor's rebellion ensured that both conflict and beauty would be part of creation's unfolding story.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Let's freaking go. Here we are at the beginning of all things.
Of all things, dude. At the end of all things and at the beginning of all things.
At the beginning of all things, baby.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so just the opening line has to be read. I'll just read it for you guys. There was Eru, the one, who in Arda is called Ilvata. And he made first the Ainur, the holy ones, that were the offspring of his thought. And they were with him before aught else was made. God dang. They were with him before aught else was made. So they are there in the beginning, and this very first opening 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, it starts off with music, and it starts off. This is all called the music of the Ainur, and this is them singing. Like they each had a part of Eru's mind, and they understood that part, and they sing solos. Essentially, they're singing a solo, my friend,
dude. And I thought it was crazy too, because I started thinking about, I got real tripped out on music, because again, it's been a long time. I'm a very inefficient musician. Like I've played instruments, I've sang in the past, but my knowledge of music is very, like, you know, we joke around about bass and treble clef. I'm like, yeah, I don't remember any of that crap. I can't remember the difference. I can't read music, you know, all that stuff. At one time I could, but it's something that I've lost. So I was thinking about this. I'm like, theme. You know, because the theme is brought up, how each Ainur was given like this thematic musical element versus like music and song. And so I thought about, I need to actually figure out like what is the difference in theme. Okay, so theme is a core. I know Rebecca Rovney's like, oh my gosh, dude. Jared Lane's like, oh my gosh, this is like, come on, Lane, let's go. But I'm a baby. Be with me. You know, stay with me. Theme is a core building block of a larger musical work or song, which is more complete. And I can't read what else. Ordered. So I think it's beautiful when you think about, like, okay, he didn't give them all songs, right? So that they could create an album together. He gave them all building blocks of one, or potential to make one unified song. So again, these pieces that could be constructed into one whole, as opposed to like, here's a song for you. Here's a song for you. You're gonna create this song. He gave instead like these parts that could be worked together instead of standing on their own. You know what I'm saying?
It's an orchestra. It's a daggone orchestra.
It is an orchestra. It's an orchestra, dude.
Wait a second. What, okay, imagine that for a second. Now it's an orchestra. Here's Ez with this viola, viola power sitting there running bass clef, and Lane's next to me with the cellos. Rebecca's over with her violin. We're making music. What
Mr. Lawson's in the back with his bass. Mr. Lawson with the bass.
Mr. Lawson with the bass. He's doing his
Rest
thing.
in peace, baby. Yep.
Yeah, I love him. So the orchestra is it's doing its thing. We all practiced individually, and then really we're all coming together. I'm just imagining what the Discord instrument would be.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Dude.
You know what I'm saying?
Someone
Like
farting.
what?
Someone farting for sure.
Yeah, so someone farting. It wasn't even a freaking instrument. It's just it's human sounds. It's just someone making sounds with their body. Like, oh my god. Because I was just trying to think about, like, yeah, what would that be that kind of comes? Imagine you're in orchestra, because you and I both were, and you're sitting there and. Okay, this used to happen all the time. I'll be honest with you. I was Melkor's Discord in orchestra, because we would be sitting there and I would be looking across. Shout out to Dave Fogel, Steve Hoare, Michael Canterbury. These guys were sitting across in the violin section. I could never keep a straight face. I was always in trouble because Mrs. Lawson would be up there conducting the orchestra, and all of a sudden she'd be like, she'd like go to like the violas. Give me an A, right? We're all doing it right. And then someone would, then we would add in the violins, right? And then I would just go a little flat. we were all good, right? Like we're just it's our open A string, right?
So that's what, dude. That's what Discord is. I was gonna say it's someone like screwing with it just slightly, like playing something in a way that it's not totally meant to be played, right?
It's not meant to be. Yeah, and she would always flash back and like, wait, hold on, wait, who was that? Where's that guy? She's looking around trying to figure out where it came from. It was always me, and if it wasn't me, it was Steve or Mike or Dave, and we were all a part of the Discord. And she had, because if we could keep her trying to tune us in A and get the A's down, we could spend 45 minutes just tuning to A.
God, dude, you were the fallen ones, man.
We were terrible. We were terrible, and I feel so bad for. I hope she hears this one day and she's just like, shame on you guys.
No, she probably loves it. She had a little I feel like Mrs. Lawson was way more ornery than even Mr. Lawson. Well, Mr. Lawson could be, but he would always like snap back, you know. But she was like, I think she liked me more than Mr. Lawson. But yeah, dude, I was thinking that's totally what it is. It's like your bow not being rosined enough, or it's you hitting the bridge, or it's like
a little clank.
I don't know. You don't get a clear sound with the trumpet or whatever. Your French horn needs shined or muffed or whatever. I don't know what. I don't know. Bassoon, you got a broken reed or something like that. It's totally what the discord is. 100%.
Right.
I also thought it was interesting too. I know we're going to get into it. One more thing.
You're fine.
Harmony, melody, and rhythm are the three components of theme. Now, musicians out there, correct me if I'm wrong. Again, this is simpleton knowledge research, but you got three aspects that make a theme, and then themes build upon each other to make a song. And then it was so interesting how we see these Ainur. They have these gifts, right? They're almost kind of, and they know in part, right? They don't know the full thing. It's almost like they're the embodiment of theme. Like they're the embodiment of these different aspects that can come together. So really, like you said, an orchestra is one. The orchestra is a Iluvatar, right? And within Iluvatar, you have these offsprings of thought, which have these abilities to create music together.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's way over my head because I'm trying to.
Well, it might be bullcrap. You don't even know. I mean, that's the other thing. I could just be, again, seeing things that aren't there. But I got stuck in the whole music thing. I'm like, dude, music is really complex. It's very deep. It's the perfect, like.
Well, and so you get with it, like there's the theme, and then even as this, I mean, Tolkien must have been a fan of it himself because he was the way he talks about it. Like there's crescendos and decrescendos.
Yes,
when you have all the different stuff in there. It's roaring higher. It's
pianissimo, fortissimo.
Yes, you're right. All the things.
Bravado.
So, we were in orchestra. We were in orchestra. Okay.
We were in orchestra long time ago.
Man, staccato, dude. Little staccato.
Oh, staccato. Pizzicato, brother. Come on.
Yeah, come on now. Come on. I'm gonna bring next time. I'm gonna bring my daggone viola and play some for Rebecca.
Wow, dude. Wow.
I need to actually.
LEP4?
That would be amazing.
LEP4.
LEP4. If she's come on, Rebecca.
Dude, my cello's in the basement, man. We could dust it off and warp the bridge back together. And
you would need some new strings on that bad boy. I'm sure.
I really would. The cat gut has gone bad long ago.
The cat gut. Are they still made of cat gut?
No, dude.
Were they ever? I mean, that's insane.
According to Mr. Lawson, man. I don't know.
That's unbelievable.
I believe him.
Okay.
I believe him. Yep.
All right. So, anyways, we've read the opening there, and again, this music that they're making. I said they're doing solos and stuff, right? It came to pass that Iluvatar called together all the Ainur and declared to them a mighty theme, unfolding to them things greater and more powerful than he had yet revealed, and the glory of its beginning and the splendor of its end amazed the Ainur, so that they bowed before Iluvatar and were silent. Amazing. So again, there's a lot of little aspects to this. So like this whole first part is them kind of coming together and bringing their voices and their songs together, as we were just talking about, right, to create that theme. And then as it sort of evolves, it starts to be kind of it goes from the music to, just to kind of give this other another big recap or overview of this. Then it goes to like the vision. Like what did your song actually create and do? And first before you get to all of that, you have a lot of warring themes. So like we'll get into like they all kind of come together, they're working together, and then they're not. Melkor's discord is there. It's drawing these people together. Another theme, Eru's raising his right hand and his left hand, and he's bringing other themes together. And then you get into like the vision. So just so you kind of, because I want to explain things in a way that are hopefully a little bit more simplistic, you know what I mean, for people just because I think about even myself, like as I was listening to this, I was like, okay, so what is going on? They're still not, they haven't seen
what
the vision
is going on. Yeah, dude, no.
Yeah, I'm serious. I was like,
I know.
As I'm reading, I'm like, okay, wait, there's still, because he goes into some really good details about what each of them were doing, and he sometimes will bring up Manwe, sometimes he'll bring up Ulmo, sometimes he'll bring up Melkor, and you're like, okay, he brings them up just enough that you're like, wait. Where are we in this whole, triple arc?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the first time I read this, however long ago when we did this, and the lights went out, and Iluvatar's like, that was just a vision. my jaw dropped. I was so taken by surprise. I'm like, wait a minute, what? What are we talking about here? Like, what? This was a dream? Like, it's like literally like those movies you go see and you're like, that was all just a dream, dude. And so no, I think thinking about it, big scale, going in for tiny details, minutia is also really good. I love, so like you were just saying, he plays this for them, this beautiful unfolding music, and then they're silent, and then he says to them, he was like, this theme that I've declared to you, I will now that you make in harmony together a great music. And since I have kindled in you the flame imperishable, you shall show forth your powers in adorning this theme, each with his own thoughts and devices, if he will. But I will sit and hearken and be glad that through you, great beauty has been wakened into song. So again, endowing with gifts, and then sitting back and just like listening and finding joy in the fact that they're fashioning these things together. Again, it goes back to Tolkien, right? Like in his letter, how he was talking about creating this world where other people could play in as well. But unbelievable.
Yeah, and so that flame imperishable is kind of a really
tell us what
cool,
that is, my man. Yeah.
So it's the secret fire that Gandalf references. I'm a servant of the secret fire. And when he says that, the secret fire is the secret that was kept with Iluvatar. It's kept with the One, with God, right? And later on in this, I think it was really cool. Like even as I don't know when this was happening, because this is kind of hard when we get there. I'm gonna have to reread it and figure it out. But like as Melkor is going in and out of the void and trying to find it, he's trying to find the secret fire, the flame imperishable. He can't find it. Why? Because it is with Eru, right? It is with Iluvatar. It is with the One and with God. So he can't find it. He's trying to find it. He knows that it exists and that it has this power to create. It is the power of creation, if you will. And it's also kind of given to them, right? Because again, they're all servants. They are a servant of the secret fire. And it sort of kindles in them this creation power, because they're all sub-creators as well, right? They're creating this world. Yeah. And then that flame imperishable will go into their creation, right? And I think that's another big reason too why Melkor is like he thought there was ways to kind of go get it, acquire it, find it, or become
or create it yourself, contrive it, like kindle it on your own, but you can't.
Right. So and I think it does. I think it does say something to the effect of like even before they actually do the singing, Melkor knew that the flame existed, that it existed, and he sought it in the void. He wondered, and this is very interesting to me because it's sort of like you have a void, you have God, and Melkor's created from God, and Melkor's even wondering, wait, who created you? Is that flame in the void somewhere? Where I'm gonna go? Are there others? I'm getting a little crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? But again, he was seeking some sort of imperishable flame in the void.
And you could almost see his mind going to, is the flame imperishable God? Is that really God? Is he really? Is the flame really the one? Right. Right. And
it was with Eru. It was with him, as if it was. You're asking a good point. As if it were something that they're together and it's with him, but it's with him. It's not him. Yeah. Right. Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I also wanted to say too. I think I remember noticing this last time, which again is intentional. I think Tolkien talks about it in that letter. The language, right? How we have a lot of kind of old, archaic language, old English, almost like ye and thy and unto and all these like words that we don't necessarily use anymore, kind of helping create the illusion, again, through like language choice, word choice, creating a feeling of antiquation, something being ancient, that this being older than, or before what we now know, right? And in the way that they talk, in the way that even Tolkien kind of, details and writes this story. I think that's so interesting too. It's a really good tool that he uses to kind of make it feel ancient,
Yeah, for sure. And I love, yes, again, and back to his letter, that's what he mentioned some of that too, just how he wanted to invoke these sort of feelings, and he uses archaic language a little bit, even for his time, to kind of make this feel older and
set the stage, kind of. Yep.
Right. I did want to go. So I pull up different notes from different sources here, and there's a blog sort of talking about the imperishable flame, and they're talking about the idea that Melkor was so obsessed with it that if you look at what he does during the First Age, he does create orcs, and he takes some creation and he twists it. Really, is what he's doing, right? And he creates dragons, Balrogs. Like he takes these other spirits
from flame, flame.
So, right, and he's sort of trying to so you can see that obsession really continued all the way through the First Age. So just something to kind of think about, I guess, as we note here early on what his obsession was like with that. So
on both Melkor's arms, he's got that flame sleeve just going right up from the wrist.
Oh, he does.
You know it, dude.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do some AI art of that and make sure we got them all.
Man. You know what's amazing too is, again, I know we're kind of jumping. This is my fault. We're jumping all over the place. We'll get back to what actually happened in a second because I'll shut up for a minute. But even like his obsession with the Silmarils, right, and stealing those, it's like he's always grasping for the light. He's always trying to control the light. He's always trying to steal the light. He's always trying to possess the light. It's crazy, especially when, like you brought up, this obsession with the flame imperishable. And I wonder if he's like literally just, I don't know, maybe the flame imperishable is just possessing all the light. Maybe, I don't know. He's like, again, who knows how his mind's working and how it's distorted, and just this desire to not create art, but to have dominion dominion of all creation and bring it under himself. That's what she said.
That's right. Dude, amen, dude. Man, it's something. This is like, how do you say this? This is the Ainulindalë is sort of, it's high stuff. It's high thinking. What's the word I'm thinking of? Yeah, it's, I can't even come up with a word to describe what it is that I'm feeling when I read this. It's lofty. It's just very lofty.
Yeah,
I guess.
Definitely. I was gonna say elevated. Yeah. Lofty for sure.
Just makes you think. You really have to slow down.
It's thought provoking. And I think it invites conversation too. Like maybe that's part of why we're doing this. Is it you read something, you're like, oh, dude. In the same way that I don't know, when you, I don't know, you believe in something, you read inspiring texts or verses or scriptural whatever your faith is. Like a lot of times that invites conversation. It's why people have Bible study, or they have, they meet and they talk about, these concepts that are so through line for all of us, like what happens when we die, and what do you think is really out there? What's the point of life? What's the purpose of it all? Like you can have endless conversations just around those themes,
Right.
No pun intended.
You're right. Okay, just as I'm reading here again, something interesting about Melkor and the flame imperishable. Let me just read this. So he says that I have kindled you with the flame imperishable. Ye shall show forth your powers in adorning this theme. This theme, meaning his theme. The problem you have later on is that Melkor's trying to make it his own theme.
Right.
It's
his
not
pride. Yep.
Yeah, it's not that because it says each with his own thoughts and devices, if he will. So he does give them, they all have their own thoughts, their own devices, their own instruments, if you will. They're these single pieces to add to his theme. But if you notice when we get to the part about Melkor, and I'm just sort of recalling it, like he starts to add unto himself other as his theme is being played, or as his music is being made, his discord, if you will, others were drawn into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's sort of like right now, like the person who is the conductor of all of this is God. It's a Iluvatar. But later on, he tries to become his own conductor. Somebody's conducting from the back and somebody's conducting from the front.
Yeah. And what did Tolkien say? It's like they started to attune themselves to his discord instead of Iluvatar's melody and song. And it's just so like that almost kind of implies like they weren't necessarily like trying to. It's almost like it's a black hole and they got sucked in, right? It's like you're hearing it's like when you hear two songs at once and you're like, what is happening? And you kind of have to like pick one to listen to, or eventually you just got to go turn one or the other one of them off or whatever. Or I even think like Do you ever notice, like, oh my gosh, sometimes I know there's a term for this, but if a song is played at like either a really low volume or really high volume, or at a volume and you go like, you increase your like distance from the music so that you can only hear certain parts, that it sounds like a different song. Have you ever experienced that? Like a car is driving away and like, you're only catching certain notes, like you're catching the really highs or the really lows, and you're like, the song's unrecognizable. And I think to myself, that's almost kind of like what's happening there. You're not trying to hear a different song, right? It's just the way it's presented is kind of like you're like a bug attracted toward the light. You're just getting sucked in. That's kind of how Tolkien made it feel. Yeah, when Melkor started doing his own thing, it was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they really intended to get sucked into his Discord, but they did. They, you know.
And here's sort of why. I'm gonna skip ahead a few paragraphs here, but. So just to recap, I guess, some of this, and you can stop me if there's things you wanted to kind of go back to or what have you. But so they're making their song, they're making their this theme, and it even kind of talks about, let me see here, the echo of the music went into the void, and it was not void. Never since have the Ainur made any music like to this music, though it has been said that a greater still shall be made before Iluvatar. By the choirs of the Ainur and the children of Iluvatar after the end of days. So it's kind of it's referencing way ahead at the end of all things, right? Then the themes of Iluvatar shall be played aright and take being in the moment of their utterance. On and on and on. Let's see. Yeah, Iluvatar shall give their thoughts the secret fire, being well pleased. Now, but now Iluvatar sat and he hearkened, which means he listened, right? And for a great while, it seemed good to him. For in the music there was no flaws. There were no flaws, my friend. It was all good. But as the theme progressed, it came into the heart of Melkor to interweave matters of his own imagining that were not in accord with the theme of Iluvatar, for he sought therein to increase the power and the glory of the part assigned to him. Now, what I was going to mention is that you were talking about, like, why is it that he was able to draw all these other individuals in? It says, because to Melkor, among the Ainur had been given the greatest gifts of power and knowledge, right? Yes. And he had a share of all of the gifts of his brethren. So he had the talent to do this. He has that drawing power, if you will.
Dude, isn't it interesting too how we see this time and time again throughout real history, throughout like cautionary tales, mythology, stories, whatever. It's always like the most powerful people have the greatest pride, right? Except for like maybe one. If you want to go like with Jesus, right? I mean, like they all have an equal pairing of pride and power. And how it's always their downfall, right? And yeah, I had forgotten about that. I'm like, because I'm writing off in the margins. I'm like, you know, the great sin of Melkor is pride, right? That he thinks that he's greater than all, even the one whose thought created him, right? I'm even better than him, dude. And I know that there's something else out there that he's not telling us about. And I know that my music can compete with his. Why can't we? Why can't we do our own themes? Why do we have to do exactly what he said? He's the one who questions because, again, like you said, most powerful, the most pride. And then you think all the way, talking about the end of all things. You go to the end of all things, right? Kind of, sort of. Or at least the major destruction of evil. And it's the least of these that's able to defeat evil eventually, that's Sauron's ring, right? It's the hobbits, right? The ones who are the least powerful on paper. They're the least well known. They're the least renowned on paper. And again, that's that whole messaging of like pride versus humility, of pity versus or compassion versus the opposite. And it's just very, very interesting that we're seeing it even here. Even here, he's kind of building that idea.
Yeah, well, something even more interesting, I think, about Melkor is when he goes into the void and he's seeking things. It says this. It says that, but being alone, so that's the key, being alone and away. So he got away. He's the only one that we mentioned that's mentioned here.
He would often go alone.
Often go alone.
So isolation too is not good.
isolation.
Yeah.
He was away from God, and so this is if you want to kind of have your allegory or make some sort of whatever. Yeah, I know, right? It's when we distance ourselves from God, right? We're more vulnerable to these things. So being left alone, right? Or being alone, he began to conceive thoughts of his own, unlike those of his brethren. Now, is that bad? Is that good? In this case, it was.
Yeah,
in this case, it seems like it was contrary to the theme. And actually, at first, there were no flaws. He was a part of the original singing, and there were no flaws.
He was doing a great job. He's probably leading the orchestra, dude. He's probably first chair violin solo.
First chair Ezra Kirk
this
up
ain't
there.
Enough for me, baby.
Doing great. I have my I have my eyes on the conductor, buddy. I was in tune.
You're
Everything
standing
was
up. You're standing up. Everyone else is seated.
Yeah.
There's a spotlight on you.
It's good. I mean, it's good.
Mr. Lawson's shedding a tear. Like that's what Melkor had.
And then he takes his baton and he points it to Lane and he says, "It's time for your solo." And I'm like, "But hold on, I wasn't done yet. I have more to kind of to add to this." And like, well, wait, and then the conductor is up there saying, "Well, hold on a second. We've got the music right here, and we've got it right here. The sheet music's in front of you, buddy. What are you doing?" So he goes off script, and again, because he had these thoughts, because he was away from God, he went into the void. He left, and I think that's so interesting that he was fascinated with this.
I just kind of envisioned, like, you remember like when you were a kid and you get pissed off and you'd go off and just pout like in the backyard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And those feelings of like the poutiness would only grow. You're like, man, they're so stupid. I am right. I'm cool. And that was so dumb what they said about me. I shouldn't have to follow the rules. Like that is like they're wrong. I hate them. They're bad. They're wrong. Like it's literally like him going off and pouting, and instead of him being around, being receptive to other Ainur who are like, bro, come on, dude, get this together, man. Like
right.
You're the man, okay? You're Jordan, all right? But that's Phil Jackson up there, man. That's Phil Jackson. Okay, we need to work together.
Have some respect,
dude.
yeah.
Right, we're only going to achieve more with each other, not off on our own in the void, seeking our flames or whatever. Stay here, man.
Yeah,
stay here. But when you're not around other powerful forces, right? Again, he isolates himself. He moves away. His thoughts just go crazy. His pride only increases.
But it is interesting. I have to say, it is so interesting to think that like the secret fire is what kindled all of them. So they all have a connection to it because they were created from it. And he is fascinated with his own creation, right? And with a fire that is with his father, his creator, and he wonders, when were they connected together? And he's going into this void so he's fascinated with the void. And what's ironic is that later on the void will become the place in which they occupy their vision. That's where Arda will be. It'll be globed. Place. It'll be, you know. So anyway, just interesting. And then we even read too that like later on Ungoliant is from the void apparently.
Wow.
And so you think to yourself like, well, wait a second, he was right. Melkor was right. There are other things in the void. They're not good, as far as we know. That particular area was not. It was an evil spirit, if you will. But where did Ungoliant come from? Is like you said, what created? Yeah. So there's paradoxes. Those
who created
mysteries.
God, kind of a thing. Yeah. That's one of those. Yeah, questions that people have.
Who created her? Like, was she like? Maybe I'm wrong, and somebody can correct me and send us a message. Because
you're the tutor. You're the tutor.
No, I'm just a tutor now. I'm not a professor. So that's why I always like to. So. Thank you. Well, hey, we're not done yet. Class ain't over. We still got more to go.
Board approved too. I just got board approved. So
okay.
All thanks to you.
Let's go.
I was going to ask this too. Like, isn't it kind of interesting that he's seeking an unquenchable flame in the darkness?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of an interesting thing to me. I'm like, dude, the light's all over there, bro. And you're going into nothing to find. So
it's wait. It's just the void though. That's the other thing that's weird is that they understood darkness in thought. It says that they understood darkness in thought, but not necessarily that it was dark.
That it was dark. Well, until after the vision, right? Then they beheld darkness.
Yeah, then they beheld darkness. And
yes,
so
after they see the song come to life.
And they knew it in thought, so it makes you kind of go like, what do we mean by void? It's so, again, it's so lofty. It's so... That's true. That's why he leaves a lot of that open for you to kind of...
Yeah, so maybe at this point, does the void just mean being solitary, just being on your own?
Right, I don't know.
Would the void be the equivalent of me going out into the backyard and having a smoke? Is that the void?
Seeking the void, my friend.
It might be. And listen, hey, dude, when I'm out there and I'm puffing on a flame imperishable,
right,
or eventually perishable, I think to ashable. I think to myself, I'm having deep thoughts, and I'm looking up at the heavens, and I'm like, you know what, man, what do I need to do? How can I be better? What's that all about? Am I doing enough? Am I a piece of crap? All these things. Well, so is that what it? Because I'm totally understand. I feel like right now, so far, I've been hypercritical of Melkor, but when I read this, I often will. I was talking about at the beginning of this episode. I think there are so many ways that you kind of empathize with him. I think if you let yourself, and you're like, well, hey, the intentions aren't bad. I don't think necessarily. At the beginning, anyway, they start even again to jump around when they go into the world. He fooled himself for a while into thinking that he would contribute to build this place for good, but eventually he returned to that void mindset of darkness and wanting to, the domination aspect of magic.
Well, again, no one else is like him. He's completely different from everyone else, and so
true.
He's isolated in terms of just like his mind. So if he's created from Eru and has the imperishable flame, and that was what kindled his spirit and who he is, and that caused him to have free will and thought and want to drift into the void. And then he comes back, and again, I imagine that I keep going back to orchestra. Imagine that it's just sort of like you're in fifth grade orchestra or like middle school orchestra. He's just a kid. He's just a kid.
True.
And he's like, but why can't we play it this way?
Yeah.
Why do we have to play that song? I want to play while you guys play that. I want to play this, and he just wants to play. And he's a disobedient. Hey, hold on, you gotta follow the rules. But I just think about him going out there, and I think a lot of this starts off kind of innocent. And when this discord first arises, you have Eru smiling, rising. I think it's the next
Yes.
thing it said.
So is it? Do you think it's his? I have a couple questions for you. I want to hear what you think. Do you think it's his refusal to respond to correction that eventually is the? I mean, obviously, right? That's probably what it is. That's what leads to him becoming darker and his downfall. Is that like when it's not the act that he. It's not the act of him kind of going off script that's bad. It's when Iluvatar is like, no. I mean, that's cool. Here, that he goes, is that what's bad? He goes, I don't think so. Is that what's bad? I also wanted to ask too, do you think that, I know it's impossible to know, but because you're talking about how he's on his own, there's no one like him, but like Manwë is kind of like his brother, right? They're similar. Do you think Manwë is more similar in terms of like power and capabilities to Ulmo than Manwë is to Melkor? Do you think there's a bigger bridge? In other words, is there more of a disparity between Melkor and Manwë than there is Manwë and Ulmo?
A disparity? I think they're close.
Like a
so
difference
what you're saying
in
is,
power. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. Like knowing the mind, they talk about like knowing the mind of Iluvatar. That Manwë and Melkor seem to be like the strongest and seem to also know most of his mind, right? I mean,
so then my next question is, if he is powerful, he can't be, if he's the most powerful, if he's the most talented, he can't be that much more talented than Manwë, right? If they're that similar, it's almost like a Cain and Abel kind of thing, or like two brothers, one chooses the light, one chooses the dark. And I think to myself, so why was Manwë able to do it? What was the difference?
Yeah, right. Well, what is the difference? Again,
I don't know.
Tolkien, one of his themes is choice. It's all about choices and things like that. Another thing is, I think later on, I've always wondered, this is kind of helping me answer a question I've always had, like, why were they so forgiving of Melkor? Like, hey, come on back to Valinor. We know you just wrecked everything we were creating, but like, it's okay.
Give you a second chance.
Yeah, Dad kind of told us that, all these things work out for his greater good and glory, and the theme is all good. So come on back to Valinor, and that's when he ends up like tricking everybody later on. So you think, well, Manwë, if he knows his brother and he knows him so well, and he knows that he is alone, he might have sympathy and mercy and pity and the things that the story is all about for him, because he is. Yeah. They are the same. They're of the same level, the same spirit, the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think about your family, right? If you have a family member who does something that, like, again, is out of line or whatever, you want to believe they can change. That's the whole reason that people stay in abusive relationships, right? Is they want to believe that this time is going to be different. Right. This time, Melkor's not going to do discord. He's not gonna sow, dissension. Not this time. Nope. He probably he's off the sauce, baby. He's off it. He's good to go.
Yeah. And by the way, I have to say, because I know we got some people out there listening who are like, Ed, are you seriously saying right now that like you're having sympathy for Lucifer?
Oh,
like, is that what you're thinking?
Dude.
Oh my gosh, dude! Like, come on, this is Lucifer. Okay, we're not because again, that's the trippy part about this, is that like you go back and you look at you look at like war. There was war in heaven. Mm-hmm. There was war in heaven. Before there was war in heaven, there was heaven, and Lucifer was the brightest. He was one of the, you know what I mean? He was the chief. Yeah. It was like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? You're talking about like when you want to go back and you almost want to like open it up and say like, was there a conversation that happened? Like who got mad at who? Was he trying to subcreate as well? Was he trying to make his own angels? Was he trying to?
Nephilim.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I go back to that because I'll never forget. Again, so some of you who don't know, my father he's a spirit-filled preacher. He's a hellfire and brimstone preacher, and I've heard him a few times talk about like that fall and talk about there was war in heaven and that the angels fought. Isn't that crazy, bro? I always sit here and go like, wait a second, they actually had war. Like, did they think they could overthrow God? Like, did they have that kind of power? Did they not know? So you think about Melkor in this situation, does he know that he can, does he just not know? Because in the end, Iluvatar sits him down and he says, look, everything you just did, it's all this is all my plan. This is all, I can weave that in. All of your discord is woven in, and it only enhances what I was creating over here. And he sort of kind of, lets him rise, but then he quashes it and lets it rise again, quashes it again, and eventually it's just like, boom, this is all woven in together. And I think, because the direct parallel there is that, you have like Gabriel, right? The archangel Gabriel. And you think about, you think about Gabriel and Lucifer. Manwë and Melkor, so
fair enough.
It's just a direct connection. So I don't want people to sit in here thinking like, well, as having sympathy for the devil. No. I think back to that story and that them both being brothers and being at one point in time, were they not both at peace in heaven? Wasn't there? There has to be peace in heaven for there to be war in heaven.
I think it's just sympathy for what could have been. Right?
Yeah.
It's like mourning what. Yeah.
Right. It's basically looking at that point in time and all the atrocity, everything that happens later. It's like, wow, holy smokes! Like clearly evil. You know what I mean? Like clearly not good. But it's going back to a time. Every villain in this world was once a child and was once. Just an innocent born into this world. And so you look back, and I guess I'm flashing back to like Melkor's innocence and looking at early days of him.
Baby Melkor
singing his own tune and being like very different, like being a little odd and going. And so it's such a crazy thing. I feel like I'm over here. People are like, God dang, Ez is an absolute Satanist. I can't believe it. But I mean, I'm kidding.
I was actually going to say Satanist. Then I'm like, that might be a little too much for this
might
podcast.
Be too fun. I know.
We've never said that word.
It's a bad word. By the way, it's a bad word. And I'll tell you right now, let me tell you, it's bad. Okay, you youngsters out there listening,
man.
The devil is walking to and fro, and just mind the good book. Okay, now,
yeah, boy.
So, anyways, because that's sort of, we're talking a lot of back and forth here, and we're kind of making our own, connections, allegorical, whatever. We're seeing things in this that relate back to our own Christian faith and what have you. But it was. This is very interesting to me, just the dynamics of these individuals, because they are, they're the might. We're getting some name drops in here, and we're getting to understand some of the different players that are going to be. Like, he's going to be an individual that we're going to have to face in the first age, and he has a brother, and he has other brothers and sisters who are going to literally fight him later on. That's the idea. That's what's coming up.
Yeah, and that even like the creation that's made is it's almost like they contend over the creation, right? To either to make art or to make war, essentially, and that's how they do battle. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I got us all derailed from order and.
Oh, no. I think it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get through a little bit more of this here, just to kind of move us along. So I mentioned that, Iluvatar rose. He hears this beginning of Melkor's like discord. He does smile at it. He lifts up his left hand, and a new theme begins. Right, left is first, and there's a new theme that begins amid the storm, like and yet unlike the former theme, and it gathered power and had new beauty. But the discord of Melkor rose in uproar, and it contended with it, and again there was war of sound, more violent than before. So again, I go back to like
sound in heaven. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's just sometimes I wonder. You got these angelic beings who are just singing and like all this kind of stuff. And did Melkor have like a southern twang? Did he have just sort of like do 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 do? Was he just over there like the whole Robin Hood animated we were talking earlier,
dude? Yeah, just, oh my gosh, bro.
And we're like, come on, dude, get back on, Cade. Come on, stop it. Anyway,
come on, you guys, let's go.
Come on now,
shindig over here. Probably.
Okay, and then
Southern.
Let's see. And again, there was war of sound, more violent than before. Until many of the Ainur were dismayed and sang no longer, bro. They stopped singing, right? Yeah. And Melkor had the mastery. Bro, he had the mastery, okay? That's interesting. Then again, this is the second time. Iluvatar rose, and the Ainur perceived that his countenance was stern. This is the second time Mr. Kirk has had to get up in this class. And let me tell you, I'm smiling the first time. Second time, I'm not. Okay, this is your warning.
Right.
So this time he lifts up his right hand, and behold, a third theme grew amid the confusion, and it was unlike the others. For it seemed at first soft and sweet, and then it grows and blah blah. It weaves all this stuff in there. So now I want to skip down here a little bit. Let's see. Because he brings it into unity, and they talk about the braying of trumpets and that being more like Melkor.
Did you talk about the third time too when he arose?
Yeah. The third time that he arose, yes, and that's when he grew stern. That's when he was like, okay,
his face was terrible to behold. Both hands up. Yep.
Right. Oh yes. Yeah, both hands are up. Yeah, this time, good point. So here it is. So in the midst of this strife, whereat the halls of Iluvatar shook. The halls of Iluvatar. So I stop right there and I go, what does this place look like, dude? This is heaven, like the halls of Iluvatar. Just that alone. Those the 1, 2, 3 words. 4, excuse me. The halls are shaking. Okay? Like heaven is shaking. And a tremor ran out into the silences, yet unmoved. Iluvatar arose, and this is what you just said, like a third time. So that to me was sort of like, dang, dude, this is real. This is a real strife. This is a real, what I would call war, right?
Yeah. War of sound, war of music,
So this is where he actually does finally say what all the things we just kind of said. He actually just says, mighty are the Ainur, and mightiest among them is Melkor, and so on. And he says, he basically talks about like all the things that you've done here are all woven into my theme, etc. So
it talks too after he says that the Ainur are afraid. Yep. And they did not yet comprehend the words that were said to them, which is crazy, right? They didn't even fully understand what he was saying. And that Melkor was filled with shame. And from that shame came secret anger. So that was it. That was it. It was the third. Kind of. The first time he smiled, right, the left hand. Second time, stern countenance, the right hand. Both hands come up with a terrible expression, and one chord deeper than the abyss, higher than the firmament. Firmament. There you go. Got to be careful. Don't get us on the sidebar. Piercing as the light of the eye of Iluvatar, the music ceased, and that's what caused. And that speech afterwards, that's what causes this shame, right? And this disconnection. And then that's like, up until this point, there are moments where you're like, maybe Melkor could come back. Maybe he could return. He's going to come back into the fold. But that right there is like, he's out.
Dude, but again, it's interesting because it's sort of like the way in which, was it necessary? I mean, I guess so. Was the call out of Melkor absolutely necessary there? People are gonna think I'm so ridiculous.
Dude, you are a Melkor empath. No, but I love this because I agree with that. Like, what is 3 chances is all your kids get? They get 3 chances. That's it.
Well, I mean,
is he supposed to know better? Because it's not like us where we're so separated from Eru, the one. Mm-hmm. Like he's got proximity. It should be clear. It should be obvious. It shouldn't even be a thought or a desire in his heart, right? Is that?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. This is where people are going to think, "Oh God, this is where Ez and Lane are in terms of their
come on now,
their stuff." But so it says that they each were given a part of his mind, that the Ainur knew the right. mind of Iluvatar.
So this is a part of Iluvatar,
right? And also, does he not know their mind? Does he not understand his son Melkor?
His intentions,
and does he not understand that, like, by publicly calling him out in front of everyone else?
True. That this is how he'll respond.
This is going to be secret anger.
True.
You know what I mean?
And then how do you not try to address that secret anger and make some kind of reparations or like some sort of, I don't know, dude. It's weird, isn't it?
I'm getting into, kind of like it's higher philosophical. Stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a little bit paradoxical too, because you're talking about like God and like, and it gets a bit kind of crazy because it's just you're created. It just shows you that this flame imperishable creates good and evil.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you think about a fire too, right? It can provide warmth. It can also burn your house down.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's all about in its use and how and like the choices and all the things that were made here. And so, I mean, and even just the response and the call out. I mean, he flat out says, "I will show them." Okay, he says, "And thou, Melkor, shalt see that no theme may be played that hath not its uttermost source in me." Flat out calls him out, right?
Right. That's our dads when they said, "I brought you into this world. I can take you out of it."
That's what I mean, straight up. Oh my gosh, dude!
Okay.
That makes you that. I mean, well, it depends on what age, because we tiptoed around my dad. Let me tell you what I thought.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't sure if we were gonna be there when Mom got home. I was like, man, dude, we wake him up, we're gone.
Oh yeah.
I remember, like, dude. Just a quick aside here. I mean, just to like. I was the Melkor in my house, and I was chasing my sister through the living room one time. She tripped on just the front edge of this carpet. I think I've told this story before. She tripped, and like she was midair, and my whole world froze because she's just like her mouth is coming, like her head's coming down on this fan that we had. This my dad is literally right there in the living room. I'm chasing her because I was gonna get her for something she did to me or whatever. But we're silent.
You were bored, probably.
We're quiet running. We were also quiet running. You know what I mean? And trying to get each other. And then she daggone trips and falls and chips her tooth on this fan. And the silent scream. I'm like, no. Like, don't do it, right? And then I don't remember how old I was. Probably 8 or something. My dad just boom off the couch, checks on her, grabs me. I'm against up on the wall, like what'd you do? What's going on? Like, just because he wakes out of this he's working midnights. He just don't wake. He's babysitting us. Like, what's going on here? Who left us?
How old were you
Dad?
when this happened?
I think I was 7, 8. I don't even know.
Dang, dude,
it's crazy. Anyways, sorry. Quick aside there.
Melkor, chipping teeth.
Oh boy, let's see here, but yeah, they can do it. Okay.
Talk about how he can even weave those themes into his own Yeah.
Right. But now, though, he's going to take them into the void. So he's going to take them into the void, and they're going to behold their music. And he showed to them a vision. This is what you're talking about. So now we get into this bit of vision. So this whole next part is they get to see what their music created, right?
Yeah.
So they're seeing, okay, this is what's happening. They're seeing the beginning of the world, the unfolding of history, and it seems that it grew and it lived. It was in the void, but not of the void. It was their own sort of creation that they sang, right? And so that's pretty cool. Like all those things, let's see, it says here, amid the design that I set before you, all those things which it may seem that he himself devised or added, and thou, Melkor, wilt discover all the secret thoughts of thy mind, and wilt perceive that they are but a part of the whole and tributary to its glory. So again, he's just explaining sort of like what their different parts were. They started off singing solo, right? And then he brings them together, and then they're creating his theme. It's flawless. Then there's Melkor. Then there's then he raises. Actually, one of those he'll mention later. It's Manwë. He actually brings Manwë's instrument, if you will, to quell or to
turns the gain up.
Work with, to sort of bring Melkor down or bring him in. So it mentions that straight up, like that was a part of it was one of the themes or whatever that he's one of the times where he's standing and trying to correct things, and he uses Manwë, and so that's going to parallel what we'll see later on, how Manwë will have to work with Olmo, and they're going to have to they're going to have to take on their bro, So, let's see here, though. Okay, the interesting thing is, as they're watching this, right, they saw with amazement what? The coming of the children of Iluvatar.
Yeah.
That was, so again, they're just singing. They don't know what this looks like. Now they get to see it. They're beholding this vision, and they were dumbfounded by this. This is not something that they foresaw. And it's also the thing that if Melkor is a little bit like, if he's a little upset because Daddy yelled at him and he was singing his own tune, but he really can't sing his own tune because it's all part of Dad's tune, blah, blah. That's essentially what he says. And you're like, okay, whatever, Dad. And then he's mad. It's turning into some secret anger. Then he looks at the vision and he's like, whoa. Yeah. He is just as dumbfounded and just as sort of intrigued.
Surprised.
By these children, other beings, Lane. I mean, hold on. It's like that's the other thing, is that they are other beings that were created through their song, through their voices, that have freedom of will and choice, and will have. They don't know where it all goes either. Too, they don't know how it all ends.
Right? No. That's the thing I love about this too, is like there are these. Like there's these parts of his mind, right? They all have this kind of like fractional knowledge of the one. Like they're these pieces of his essence and his being, and yet there are still these things that happen that they can't foresee, that they have no knowledge of, that they are surprised by, that come out of nowhere, and they're dumbfounded. And then what is it? I mean, it says here, therefore, when they beheld them, the more did they love them, being things other than themselves, like you said, strange and free, right? Which is also incredible. Wherein they saw the mind of Iluvatar reflected anew, right? So this music is getting kind of like familiar, right? This thing has been, they're learning this, they're crafting this. It's like when you fall. Okay, it's like when you fall back in love with podcasting.
Yeah, buddy.
Right? It's like when you fall back in love with a book. It's like when you fall back in love with a place. It's this nostalgia, or not even that necessarily. It's like this new passion for something that comes out, reflected anew, and learned yet a little more of his wisdom, which otherwise had been hidden even from the Ainur. So that's the other thing that like I think that would keep you fixed on Iluvatar, is that there's surprises. There's still always something to learn, that his fullness has not yet been revealed, and that if you stick with him, you're gonna keep getting. Yeah, you'll get used to him, and there'll be things that are predictable, but every once in a while, and you'll never know when, there are these things that will shock even you.
Well, I was thinking about like when we first read the letter, we got into the mind of Tolkien, things I didn't know that he thought and felt, and you're like, wait a second, this is the guy who created the whole thing, and there's still things I'm trying to figure out about him, and I'm still learning more about him, which is interesting. So they're at that point where, again, these children were conceived by Iluvatar alone, and they came with the third theme. They were not in the theme which Iluvatar propounded at the beginning, and none of the Ainur had part in their making. So like they're like, whoa, we didn't know this about Daddy. Daddy's got other
kids.
He's got more babies.
Daddy's setting up franchises. I got a brother down in South Georgia I'd never even met.
Good.
And another
Good
mommy
Lord.
too.
So crazy. So yeah, I think that's what sort of this is really what will propel them all to kind of enter that world. But I forget where it's at. You know, you had mentioned it earlier. Let's see the vision is there, but it's taken away from them at some point. And I guess before that though, this is where you break into some of the dynamics between Manwe and Olmo and water and the habitation, right? Okay.
This is the one we talked about too, because I think this one's real interesting. We kind of talked about it before, but and of these Melkor was but when the Ainur had beheld this habitation in a vision and had seen the children of Iluvatar arise therein, then many of the most mighty among them bent all their thought and their desire towards that place. So even in this vision, there are some that are drawn, and these are probably the ones that are going to go, right? That they are just obsessed with this. It's like something that they find so compelling. And of these, Melkor was the chief, right? I wonder if he saw something like, I wonder if he wondered, is that where the flame is? Is that where the flame is? Like, could I go pursue it there? Even as he was in the beginning of the greatest of the Ainur who took part in the music. And he feigned even to himself at first that he desired to go thither and order all things for the good of the children of Iluvatar, controlling the turmoils of the heat and the cold that had come to pass through him, but he desired rather to subdue to his will both elves and men, envying the gifts with which Iluvatar promised to endow them, and he wished himself to have subjects and servants, and to be called Lord, and to be a master over their wills. So again, at first, he lies to himself, man. He lies to himself and says, brother, you're going there for the right reasons, dog. You're going to go and you're going to control the heat, the cold. You're going to take care of these babies. These are your little siblings down in South Georgia from daddy's new mommy, you know? Right. And you're going to take care of them. But no, actually, these sons of guns, they're going to serve you, man. I'm going to set up I'm going to rule this area. I'm going to be the king of Georgia. Right. Okay? I don't know why I fixated on Georgia. But yeah, he can't even, I love how he feigned to himself. Like, it's almost like, was he trying to actually fool himself? He's trying to be like, will himself into thinking that against his own, what has become his own nature, you know, what has become his new identity of ruler and Lord.
Essentially, he's starting to think like he almost forgot. He forgot himself. It was such a marvelous thing, and so he couldn't believe it that he forgot himself. And he went back to like, oh wow, this is, back to an innocent state, almost like more like, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna go be a part of this, and then
tragic.
You get there, and it turns into, what he thinks is maybe a good thing, and maybe
old habits.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah,
it's so depressing. It's so depressing, kind of.
It is. Yeah, no, it is actually depressing, but. We get in here. I think it's really cool. They talk about, they're witnessing sort of the earth. They're seeing lights and colors, and they're starting to understand iron and stone and silver, and then the water, right? That was I think but of all these, water they most greatly praised. Right, and it is said by the Eldar that in water there lives yet the echo of the music of the Ainur more than in any substance else that is in this earth. Amazing that is it's such a powerful thing that the echo of that song is still there. You can hear it in water droplets and the sound of water. I think that's so cool, because then you have, all of a sudden, for the first time we hear about Olmo. Right, and we start to hear about Manwe and these other powerful Ainur, who will be Valar once they enter this world.
And how he attaches them to aspects of nature, right?
Yes.
Like the wind and the light and the earth and the waters. I was also thinking about that too, how crazy that thought is of water. And then you're like, dude, water's in everything, man. Water's in it's in the air, it's in the clouds, it's in us, it's obviously, in streams and oceans and rivers, and it's pervasive. It's like everywhere. And I think to myself, what a brilliant choice that he like literally sat and thought about that. He's like, what is the most powerful of these elements? Like what would be something that could contain an echo? You know what I'm saying? Like ripples on a pool or something like.
Right, and what's interesting is that
it's recycled too, right? It cycles over and over and over again.
And that's where wind comes into it, and sort of I'm getting all scientific here, but what's it called? Get old evaporation when it goes up in the clouds, and the clouds, the wind comes down and moves it over here, and then it rains down here.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the crazy, bit. I mean, you have here we go. We have God actually speaking. Iluvatar spoke to Olmo, and he said, "Seest thou not how here in this little realm in the deeps of time Melkor hath made war upon thy province? He hath bethought him of bitter cold, immoderate, and yet hath not destroyed the beauty of thy fountains, nor of thy clear pools. Behold the snow and the cunning work of frost. Melkor hath devised heats and fire without restraint, and hath not dried up thy desire." He can't do it. He can't. Nothing that he does. He can't. He cannot utterly quell the music of the sea. Wow. And he was most afraid of that. He was always like that was what was given to Olmo. It's amazing that like Manwë is sort of the leader, but like Olmo is kind of like the heavy, like kind of the closer, like the. I mean,
yeah.
It's just interesting that they worked together, and they promised and they swore that they would work together. That Olmo and Manwë would forever try to see see this vision through. If that makes sense. Yes. Yeah. So, but I think that's pretty cool. Oh, here it is right there. But even as Olmo spoke, and he's speaking to Manwë, and they're talking about like how they're going to be brothers, and they're going to faithfully serve out the purpose of Iluvatar. The vision is taken and hidden from their sight. Right, and this is where we were saying earlier that it's just like, okay, now it's taken away.
Yeah,
and that's got to be stunning. Like, well, we thought we were there.
Yeah,
but we're not, and now they have to go live it and fulfill it. Right.
Dude, that's crazy that you brought this up earlier. You're talking about the void. The void isn't necessarily darkness. It's not darkness because, and I think that's what we associate it with. We think of the void as like, space or something like emptiness. Emptiness. That's what it is. It's emptiness. It's not darkness. Yeah. Because when this vision is taken away, they perceive a new thing, and that is darkness, which they had not known before, except in thought. Man. Gosh,
and then
you could break this down. You could break this down line by line.
Well, and hold on. They know darkness in thought, and it's like, and he's always talking about like they knew a portion of Iluvatar's mind, and you're thinking, well, there's a portion of his mind then that thought about darkness, and so he understood darkness and what was darkness before him. Or, you keep going with the whole thing. Like, what does God think about? You know what I mean? What does God wonder about? Does God have any questions? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like,
dang, dude.
Anyway, it's crazy. Sorry, going too lofty with it.
Don't you ever apologize for that, young man.
Don't you ever? Can you hear it? My voice is starting to go?
It's getting a little.
Dude,
thin.
You ever hear that? Like, I have been sipping. I'm getting this like trickle. I think this happened the first time we did the Silmarillion. Is that not crazy? I'm starting to recall. I think it was either it may have actually been this very. This was only two. We only did two chapters.
We said this earlier. We're like, these great beings, these Ainur, they go down and they start. We're about to get to that, right? They try to bring this vision to reality. They try to create the world, and they're met with resistance, right? Who are we to think that we would not be met with resistance in the same way? I know. Dude, it's funny you bring that up. Today at school, I took my glasses off and rubbed my eyes, and I could feel a cold. Do you know what I'm saying? What I mean by that? Like the combination of feeling warm, like in my ears and in my head and everything, that slight little kind of tingle burning, mixed with the smell of that recycled school air, which I always associate with feeling sick, mixed with a level of tiredness where you feel you start to like feel disconnected from your body, like disembodied almost. Yeah, I had that feeling today too. Let's go slam some orange juice or something after this. I mean,
oh man, I'm gonna have to gargle some salt water or something. I don't know.
We can't be getting sick, dog.
Take a
clove of garlic. You wouldn't know about this. Take a clove of garlic, swallow it.
Yep.
Drink a bunch of water, then rub some garlic behind your ears. Then take.
You don't think I'm gonna do that? I'm gonna do that right when we finish. Hey.
Power of 3. You swallow one, you use one behind your ears, and then the third one, you clench between your butt cheeks for 35 seconds.
Okay.
If it starts burning, it's working. Okay. And then what you do is you keep them clenched. You penguin walk to the toilet. You drop it in.
Okay.
No hands allowed. If you drop it in and you score, you're going to be fine. That's like kind of the wives' tale thing. But just take care of that.
All right. Well, hey, you guys know what I'm doing right after this podcast.
Yeah, boy, come on. That's the highest tier of Patreon. It hasn't been revealed yet.
Oh man. Okay. Just to dive back in here. So, yes. So, Ea, or Ea. What's he say?
Ea Sports. It's in the game.
It's in the game. Let these things be, right? And he sent forth the flame into the void. And so boom, there it goes. And like the world is being made.
Melkor. Go get it.
Go do it.
Fetch.
So it's cool. This is kind of neat. And suddenly the Ainur saw afar off a light, as it were a cloud with a living heart of flame. That's pretty
crazy,
cool.
Man.
That's just pretty cool. That idea. So yeah. Anyways, so they see the world like come into being, and so there's a condition though. So some of them are allowed to go and live there, right? So but there's a condition that Iluvatar made, or it is the necessity of their love, that their power should be henceforth be contained and bounded in the world, to be within it forever until it is complete, so that they are its life and it is theirs. And therefore they are named the Valar, the powers of the world. So once they go in, they can't leave. There's no oh, you're in here now. I didn't really like it. I'm out. No. Once you go in, you must see it through. You must. Once you start, there is no going back. So I think that's I think that's kind of interesting that they were kind of forced to do that. So.
I'm also thinking about the transformation of names, right? And that just hit me because I'm like, Valar. That sounds like valiant, right? And what does it say? The calls them the, what did you say? The powers of the world, right?
Yeah, the powers of
Valor.
the world. Yeah,
Valor, right? Valor is like bravery, and usually that is so crazy. Just like the choice, of course.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and
courage, valor, dude. The definition of valor is courage in the face of danger.
Right, and they know they're going in. They have to see this thing through. They've seen all the different. They've seen their own brothers. They don't even know it yet what it is, but they've seen. I mean, there are going to be problems. There are going to be things that have to be faced.
Yep.
And there's uncertainty. The end is not known, even for them. So it's sort of like, okay, what is? Is there a punishment if we do something right or wrong? What's the whole deal here? We don't know. We have to go be the life force for this world.
Yeah, they're getting spaked. They're getting spaked, right?
They're getting spaked.
If so spake. Do something wrong.
So spake the Lord.
So to spake.
Goodness. Okay, so they begin their great labors and they're in the world. I think it's interesting that they decide at some point to kind of take upon them the form of the children. They were so enamored with the children of Iluvatar that they say, you know what, we actually kind of want to, let's look like them a little bit. I mean, we don't have to.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have to, but sometimes we will and sometimes we won't. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of neat that they did that. It says at one point even too that they could be there next to some of our elves or men and Unbeknownst.
Yeah, dude. I thought that was fascinating too.
So, and now we get more of this again, more Melkor wanting to kind of, this is his kingdom. He's going to name it to himself, right?
Yep.
But Manwë is again being the brother of Melkor, and in the mind of Iluvatar, he was the chief instrument of the second theme. There it is. He's the chief instrument of the second theme that Iluvatar had raised up against the discord of Melkor, and he called unto himself many spirits, both great and less, and they came down into the fields of Arda and aided Manwë. So that's pretty cool. He's up there gathering individuals to come to him, like he's calling a Manwë council, right? The Council of Manwë.
Yeah, Council of Manwë.
And he's saying like, hey, let's we don't want Melkor to hinder this vision of ours. We've already seen that. We've so they're already kind of preset against him. They kind of going in there like, look, we know that there could be trouble with Melkor, and like I'm gonna need a lot of you to come in and help me because he's pretty strong. Yeah. So
I do love how there's that power of three again, right? You've got Aule, Ulmo, and Manwë working in as a trio, and it's like when you start thinking about the elements too, it's like earth, air, and water set up against. True. I mean, Melkor's discord, his darkness, his fire, maybe.
Destruction.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, you get kind of like.
Well, actually, think about that. I mean, I'm thinking of like Avatar, and they have earth, wind, water,
Captain Planet,
and fire, and fire are and fire's the bad guy sometimes.
Dude, you almost think too like earth, water, and air. I know air fuels fire, but it can also put it out. Like you got a match lit. If the fire's small enough, air can put it out. Earth, you put dirt on a fire, you can put it out that way, and water obviously can quench a fire. Very interesting.
Right.
Sure.
Sure. I'm just trying not to die over here. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, dude. It just came on me out of nowhere. We're almost done. We only have like two paragraphs left here.
Out of nowhere, boy.
Goodness gracious.
Careful.
So, as I mentioned already, they take upon the shape and the hue of the children of Iluvatar. So we're gonna skip down here a little bit.
I do love that they can kind of go between forms. That's a really cool concept.
That's cool. I was thinking back to like the Fellowship, and we often wondered like, what's this other force that's at play? What's this other, is it luck? Is there something else guiding Frodo? Is there? It felt subtle, and it felt like there was something else on the wind
for sure.
that was like there, but not.
I know. Yeah, and I know it kind of alluded to it that it says like as time went on, they kind of retreated to those disembodied forms, that were more like visible through the elements. But I kind of wonder, we learned there that they could take human form and walk amongst us, like how people say I think there was an angel, man. I don't know. I can't explain it. This maybe they're in Lord of the Rings somewhere, dude.
Bro, they're in the prancing pony, man.
In the prancing pony, man.
They're just chilling. They're chilling on a back table.
Chilling.
Just watching it. You literally have Ulmo, right? You've got Manwë.
Yeah.
Like Aule. They're all just sitting there, the three of them.
Yep.
And we'll find them in the movies. They're in there.
I mean, dude, you could argue that Gimli is Aule.
Yeah.
That Manwë is Aragorn, and that Legolas is Ulmo.
Legolas.
Or he's just Legolas. He's Legolas.
He's Legolas, that boy.
Whatever. I don't know. It's that just opens up a whole new line.
No, it's cool. It's cool to think that where are they? Where were their influences? Again, yes, I know they sent the Astari and they sent the Maiar to be more like there as guides, but like Ulmo never left. I mean, he was always in the waters. He was always there.
Yeah,
his spirit was always
left.
He almost left.
Almost left.
But he definitely didn't.
But he never. So, he almost never did. Yeah.
Man. Okay, here, final kind of paragraph or two here. The Valar drew unto them many companions, some less, some well nigh as great as themselves, and they labored together in the ordering of the earth and the curbing of its tumults. The Melkor saw what was done, and the Valar walked on earth as powers visible, clad in the raiment of the world, and were lovely and glorious to see and blissful, and that the earth was becoming as a garden for their delight, for its turmoils were subdued. And then in his envy, his envy grew then, the greater within him, and he also took visible form. But because of his mood and his malice that burned in him from that form was dark and terrible. So because of his mood and the malice that burned inside of him, he has a dark and terrible form. So crazy, man. And this is again sort of setting up this war. It says, thus began the first battle of the Valar with Melkor for the dominion of Arda. And of those tumults, the elves know but little. For what here has been declared is come from the Valar themselves, with who is this? Aldalia? Yeah, spoke in the land of Valinor. Crazy, that kind of stuff where Tolkien just says like, so-and-so spoke this in that land, as if it's real, as if it's very like, was spoken by this person and passed down. And there's an understanding of how it got to the elves and how it got to the men and how it get carried on in our lore, and it's our mythology. So
okay, so the Aldalia that's elven folk.
Oh, cool.
So the elven folk that were in Valinor who would have had a closer connection, I guess. But I think it's also really interesting because there's the way it ends there. That was beautiful. Thank you for leading me, as always, leading all of us. You do such a good job of like, you're like Manwë. You can look above and you can control the winds, and I'm like a puddle of Olmo. But like, I think it's so interesting how the way he ties that back in there too. He's like, of this only part was known, and so that's how it kind of like dovetails into Genesis, right?
Right.
Like we are even lesser beings than the Eldar, right? Than the elves. So we would know even less than they did. We wouldn't even have that connection of having that knowledge kind of bestowed to us in Valinor. And so that it's almost like in this roundabout way, a justification for the creation story in Genesis, or some of these creation myths that are a little more sparse for their kind of, I don't know, mundanity, like simplicity.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's like, hey, that's just because we don't know it all, man. That's why. It doesn't mean it didn't actually happen. It didn't mean it wasn't interesting. It's just we didn't know.
I'll tell you, one of the coolest directors and writers. I mean, like him or hate him, I don't know if you like his stuff or not, but J.J. Abrams often talks about this concept of mystery boxes.
Mystery boxes, yeah.
I love it, and you have to leave some I think about Star Wars, and you have to leave the Force and its origins, and certain things you have to leave in mystery boxes. You can't over-explain them. You have to leave some of that white space there to be explored. It's so cool, and I think there's so much more to discover in our own lives, and then in Tolkien and Middle Earth, and it's a fun place to escape to, and to see the beginning of this, to see the beginning of it all in these dynamics. And I know you guys are calling me a Melkor sympathizer, but it's like, dude, I just imagine little me, little Ez in orchestra.
With a new nickname for you. I think you're a Melkord. You're a
Melkord. I mean, hey, call me what I am.
Hey, it's okay. You know what? I've got a little Melkor in me as well.
Okay.
I eat Melkor too, my friend, and I think, I don't know, I can definitely empathize. And so you were I almost envisioned when we did this, started back up again, that I would kind of sound more like you, and you would kind of sound more like me, in terms of like me being like, was Melkor that bad, dude? Come on, man.
I know.
Just trying to make he's just
happened
copying the creator. He's doing sub creation. Give him a freaking break, man. Mm-hmm. Is he supposed to be creative thinking inside the box?
I didn't go in. So. By the way, I didn't go into this episode planning on.
No, I know.
Saying any of that too.
Melkor led you, maybe, dude.
Oh God, dude! I told you I was gonna make a joke. It's not in the shot right now on the YouTube, but like Melkor's throne is right over there. It's literally right over there. And if you guys are wondering, like, what, I'll show you a picture on Instagram what it looks like.
Post that up on our story.
Yeah, and sometimes I sit in his throne.
Oh, and, gosh, dude, this is dark. What time is it? It's late. That's why.
It's late. I shouldn't have said that.
No, you shouldn't.
I shouldn't have said that.
So that was beautiful. Anyway. I'm glad we're back in. That was so much fun. Again, the other thing I love about this too, you kind of sometimes you get paralyzed. Like when we're getting ready for episodes, and you're like, shoot, man, how deep do we go? How much do we cover?
I know.
And then it's like we cover as much as we can. We cover as much as we feel led to, and then we always remember that if we're going to do this forever, we'll be back.
We'll be back, buddy.
We'll be back. We already been back. This is the second time we've done that.
Second time. This is second servings here, second breakfast.
And that's the beautiful thing. I think you go through, again, like to play into the theme of mystery boxes and white spaces is, do you want to know it all? No, I don't think so. I think you know it all, and you lose the I don't know, the promise of learning something new. And even if you don't learn something new, seeing something old from a different way, right? We talk about perspective, about, being down on that road, can't see your house. up at your house. You can see the road just fine, and it's the same thing, but it's from a different point of view, and it makes it feel like a completely different experience. So, speaking of perspective and time travel, we're getting into Bywater Post, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going back in time. We have plumbed the depths of our Tolkien stories that you guys have sent us, and we're trying to leave nothing unturned. For a while, we got super snowed under. We're still pretty snowed under, so we're actually going to do something really fun. But we have them all.
Just we have them all. They're all there. I found them. We've located them all. Cleaned everything out.
They've all been binned,
starred, binned,
they're ready for us to. They're ready for us to sort through. We're accepting new ones. Whenever you want to send us your Tolkien story, send it our way. We love reading these. This is, again, some people's favorite part of every episode.
They're back, baby.
Dude, we love it because we connect with you guys and we get to learn your stories. And then it's really cool how often it happens when we meet people. They're like, yo, you read my Tolkien story. I was the one that blah, blah, blah. We're like, oh my gosh, yes. Remember that. I remember that story. So anyway, we're also going to try and find a way to catch up on some of those Tolkien stories. The Bywater Post, we're going to do like Sunday sorting episodes that will kind of be standalone Tolkien stories, and Bywater Post episodes that are just that dedicated to that only. So it's really exciting to have these back. So this week we've got Rachel Ricci. Now this is going all the way back. Rachel sent us her Tolkien story November 30th, 2018.
Amazing.
In Instagram. So this goes way back, and I'll just get right into it. She says, hey, my name's Rachel, and just wanted to send you a little social media fan mail. My dad read me the books when I was 5, and then I reread them on my own when I was 13, and they have consumed my entire heart and mind ever since. It's to me the most powerful, magnificent story ever written, and consumes my heart and mind so fully, my room is starting to look... Sorry, I just got jumped ahead. My room is starting to look like a Lord of the Rings shrine. But as a 19-year-old girl, I really can't express my love for the series with my friends, and it drives me nuts not having people to deeply discuss it with all day long like I wish I could. But a couple months ago, I discovered your podcast, and getting to listen to you guys talk about the most epic moments to the smallest details of the story makes me happier than you could imagine. I sit here nodding along to the things you say, and it's like I finally have friends to discuss the series with. So thank you so much for doing what you do and making a home for the Lord of the Rings, super fans like me. You really have created something truly special. Also, side note, I was already in the middle of my reread before I discovered you guys. By pure coincidence, was on the exact same chapter as you when I tuned in. How cool is that?
Dang.
But anyway, hope you don't mind all the long messages. Of course, we never do. But your podcast and you guys are really special to me, and I'm so thankful to be a part of your Middle-earth family.
Dang.
So again, this was cool. This is you handled the emails.
Yeah.
I dug through the depths of Instagram and went to the very, very beginning of our DMs.
Lord again,
bless you. This was one that just slipped through the cracks. I actually messaged Rachel and just said, hey, was it 7 years later? Got or 6, whatever it is. Finally, got to the end of the bottom of the DM bag and found your Tolkien story. Sorry we never got to it. We're going to be reading it on an upcoming episode. And she responded, she said, hi guys, no way, how sweet, I can't wait to tune in. This is ironic timing because I haven't gotten to do a reread the last 2.5 years at all while finishing my degree, which is a long time for me. I normally do it once a year. And I was just thinking about starting another reread. Seems fitting in the autumn, right after Bilbo and Frodo's birthday and all. So it was cool timing for you to reach out. So much love for what you guys do. So huge shout out to Rachel. Again, and that's
awesome.
What's amazing to me is that Rachel sends us her Tolkien story in Bywater Post 7 years ago. Never makes it on an episode, right? It's just one of those ones that falls into the bottom of the bag or, gets lost in the mail. It happens, right? But you can reach back out and say, hey, sorry, this never got, we never read this, never got on an episode. We're going to be, and then the response, like that people are still there on this adventure with us. It's an incredible thing, man. It's just amazing. So huge shout out to Rachel.
Dude, I think about it all the time. The people who a time of year hits and you're like, man, I should dig it back out. I should reread it. I should rewatch it or whatever. And so I'm so glad that she, seriously, you and I were lucky. We were lucky that we had each other as friends to talk about this series, and we loved it because a lot of people don't. And I feel like she said that, right? Which is sort of like, okay, there's not a lot of people who want to nerd out to that level. And so I think that's cool. I think that's what there's people I work with, they're just sort of like, what do you do? You know, like this, and it's just like, like you wouldn't, I'm not going to waste my breath. You know what I mean? Like you don't, you don't get it. And then I come around the corner the other day and this guy's just like, don't you do a Lord of the Rings podcast? He's like, I'm reading it right now for the first time. It's amazing. Wow. And I was like, man, dude, this is my guy AJ at work. I was like, dude, let me know where you're at. He was like, dude, so much more in these books, man. Yeah. And he was like talking about Gandalf. He was talking about the Council of Elrond. He was just stunned, man. Rivendell, awesome, he was floored.
There's so much history there. Yeah.
So that's what like someone like Rachel wants to do is to nerd out with those friends and to talk. And so I love this because everyone's welcome in our Middle Earth. There's no gatekeeping. There's no whatever. It's just we're here to have fun. We're here to nerd out, and that's been our mission. By the way, I'm so glad that you chose this one to start with because literally our mission is because when you and I talked about this and this renewed spirit for doing this podcast and making it like long freaking episodes, getting back into the old format and just saying, who cares? We'll chop it up into 3 parts. It doesn't matter. Listen to it when you can.
I mean, that was that was the thing. We never cared before. It was never. We weren't ever trying to meet a certain time, but we weren't ever trying to avoid a length duration.
This time is longer than I think anything we've done. Simply because we are so amped. And we had so many things we wanted to talk about, and as we go along, we're going to get back into some of those typical 2.5, 3 hours, just wherever it goes. We don't plan it to be, but the 5-hour episode is a new one for us. That's awesome. I freaking love it. No wonder Ez's voice is freaking gone, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, let me take over for a little bit. You led us through the entire creation, dude. You kept us guided. You had all the themes in order.
Look, in the beginning was Ez's voice. In the end, it's nowhere to be found. Jeez,
it's vanished into the void. Man. But again, huge shout out to Rachel. Thanks for sticking with us, and for all of you who are just like Rachel, who through it's a wild. You look back, 2018, dude.
Dude, they're
2018 when he wasn't even a year old yet, man. I think to myself, that was such a long time ago. When I reached out to her, I was like, I'm not going to hear back. There's no way. And for her to shoot something right back, and I just thought to myself, it's so cool. It's just cool. It's just the magic of podcasting and having a book club and interacting with people who listen to you, because you have these friends that you don't even necessarily are aware of. But again, that kind of reading. I was exhausted, dude. I was exhausted until right now, hearing her story, talking about this. And it revitalizes us. It's like a mini LEP every episode, where you're like, okay, we're not alone, man. There's people who listen, who enjoy this adventure, who enjoy us getting lost in details, who enjoy us seeing the scope of things, who enjoy us fumbling over names and knocking things out of the park at the same time they're on this adventure with us, and they're contributing too. Like, they're listening. Susie always talks about this. She's always talking to, when she's listening to an episode, she's commenting as well. She's talking right there with us. And Rachel said the same thing, and it is a conversation, and that's what I love so much about it. So thank you to Rachel. Thank you to all of you. I can't wait to do more of these. So Bywater Post is back, baby. The postmasters have returned. We're probably delivery men, honestly.
I don't know what we are.
Okay, I got strawberries with cream. I got a little greedy.
Yes, sir.
I picked a bunch of strawberries. We have 3 different ones. Some of them are kind of shorter, and we don't have to go into crazy detail. But there were just so many inspirations here. We had the letter, right? Tolkien's letter. That kind of set my mind a little crazy. Also, like the idea of creation, and then music. So, you want to do all 3? Is that okay? You got time for that?
Oh, heck yeah. Let's do it. I'm looking at the first one here. So
okay, we saw a lot of musical collaboration this episode, right? A lot of different musical talents coming together, sometimes working against each other. If you could pick any 2 or 3 artists to collab on a song, who would it be? Likewise, if you could have any musician cover any other musician or band's song, who would it be and which song?
Oh, dude, okay. I'm going first, okay?
Okay.
Let me think. So, first of all, like the collaboration / cover would be, I would want to see a collaboration between, and unfortunately, it can't happen.
It's Taylor Swift.
It's Post Malone and Michael Jackson. Okay.
Oh my God, dude.
And imagine Post Malone doing a cover of one of Michael Jackson's songs. What would he do, dude?
You don't even know who Michael Jackson is, man. That's the crazy thing.
I don't even know who he is. So that's why I was sort of like, dude, that's got to be my guy. I mean, it's gonna be my go-to. I'm thinking like,
dude, that blew my mind.
I actually thought, bro, hold on a second.
Yep.
As you were reading that, I started sweating a little bit because I was like, I don't know. I don't know musicians. I mean, I know I know a hand, and then I was like, wait, there's one I don't know. Everyone on this podcast knows I don't know Michael Jackson. So I thought, well, hey, let's go with him because I love Post. I've been listening to Post Malone a lot recently. And
Post's our guy. Also, Post Malone, we know you're listening. We want you to walk out of the cornfields and into Ez's garage in the North Farthing, right through that door.
Right through
so
the
that
door.
we can have an episode, hear your Tolkien story, get drunk with you, whatever we got to do. We're here, Posty. We'll bring the canes. You just show up.
Let's go, baby. We will.
The Bud Light and the canes are on us. You just show up. Bless all the uppers with an experience. Dude, honestly, okay, I'm going to say something right. Met Billy Boyd. I would love to like shake Viggo Mortensen's hand and just say, hey, thank you. Can I ask you one question? Thank you. I think the rest of them, I'm good. I don't think I necessarily want to meet any of the others. My next like dream, unless it's like behind the scenes people like Tammy or Shane who like brought this thing to life behind with not a lot of tons of glory. I think Post Malone is like the ultimate collaboration at this point. Like if we could somehow sit
That's
down.
Tom Bombadil, baby. He's Tom Bombadil, dude.
He is Tom Bombadil. Bill Pony. Okay, and I love that collaboration because I think that would be sick, man, to hear because you could do like any number of things because like Michael Jackson, he did some rocky stuff.
Dude, they're different. They're so different.
Music and also like they're both kind of like their abilities are very like varied and widespread and diverse, and so they would go great together, man.
It'd be cool. It'd be sick.
I never thought of that. Post Malone and Michael Jackson.
I know, dude. You didn't expect OS to pull that one out.
Post Jackson. No, mine are gonna sound so lame in comparison. Like I don't even want to do. I don't know. Like the only ones Sarah and I have talked about for years. It'd be really cool to have like Adele and John Mayer collab. I think that would be sick. I would also love to hear. I would love to see. Okay, so that's my collab. I would love to see. I don't care what song it is. John Mayer and Adele do something together. Maybe throw in like a guitar solo or duet with Chris Stapleton in there because I think that would be sick.
Dang.
I think if I could hear another one. So this would be like a cover. If the 1975, my favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
I know there's controversy with them. Whatever. Forgive me. Nobody's perfect. I've loved them for a long time. If they could cover Phil Collins's "Feel It Coming in the Air Tonight."
Dang.
There's something about Matt Healy's voice that reminds me of Phil Collins anyway. And if they could somehow do a cover of that, I think it'd be so sick.
That sounds sounds cool. That sounds cool. By the way, I love covers. I'm all about like, dude.
Covers are sick, man. Some of my favorite songs are covers.
Well, I was gonna say maybe I'll put this in the shout out to our House of Flower, our patrons, our lords and ladies of Gondolin. I'm gonna drop in there my top covers because I've got like, oh man, I love Goo Goo Dolls, and I have I've got a playlist created where I've got like the best covers of Goo Goo Dolls songs on YouTube.
Yeah.
That people who cover them, and I go in there, and I on the way home from work, I start like, boom, there's a cover of Iris. Dude. Next one, Name, boom.
I think so. Goo Goo Dolls for you is like the Cranberries for me.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's kind of like one of my most I think Linger is one of the most perfect songs of all time.
It's good.
That song is just so there's something
so good.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what we need to do? We talked about it for a while, making a playlist on Spotify. We've talked about it for a long time.
Oh my gosh, we do. Yes.
The Lane Ezra playlist. We've talked about doing that.
We could just add to that. Dude, oh my God, that's a great idea. We could just put it a link down in the description.
Yeah.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, let's get
Don't let us forget. Don't let us forget, please.
We will not. Don't forget the sniffing. If you could witness the next one, if you could witness the creation of any one thing, what would it be? So not necessarily the world. It could be the world. If you could witness the creation of any one thing, building, person, what? I mean, maybe not a person. I don't know. Maybe you want to see the creation of a person.
The first thing that came to my mind So I'm going to go 1 and then 2. The first thing that came to my mind was Tolkien's creation of this world. The first thought that he had. Where was he? Was he on the battlefield? Was he in the trench feet? Like, where was he?
Dude.
What was he saying? If I could be there by his side in the trenches,
wow.
It'd be fascinating, I think, just because we went through his whole letter there, and I'm thinking, like, if you could just take yourself there and you could just look at him and see where was he when those thoughts. I mean, as a kid, it sounds like he was already playing with languages and stuff too.
Yeah,
but like when I read about the fall of Gondolin and where that thought came into his mind and how those stories were coming when he started to pencil them down, the first scribblings, right? And you're like, oh, he's starting to put pen to paper now. Like, I think that would have been pretty cool because I think he's just a young man, you know? I think he's just... think about him just as we think about him as an older professor and all that.
Right.
But think about him as just like
I love thinking about him as a boy, like a child, and like all the it's sad. I mean,
you want to hear something
Tolkien,
crazy?
What?
So Lottie and I have been joking that again, not that Ez believes in reincarnation or anything, but that Lucas is Tolkien, that he's John Tolkien, because every time I take him and I'm like it's so interesting. I take him outside. He loves trees.
Oh man.
Loves
that's huge. That would be that's a dead giveaway right there, brother.
They're his friends.
Wow.
And he talks to them more than anything else that he talks. Yes, he does. When we take him outside, he just starts jibber jabbering up a storm. And we put him right underneath these trees.
I was going to say, I noticed his bassinet was right under the tree.
When you take him out, when you take him away, he cries. He wants to be under those trees. He loves to look up and see them move and sway. It's just so cool. And so it's like, well, there we go. We know,
he might be.
He's got the spirit of Tolkien.
He comes back and just creates a whole new mythology for America.
I'm waiting for it. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Dude, that's beautiful, man.
Crazy. But anyway,
it's not a normal thing. It's not a normal thing anymore. Is there one thing outside of Lord of the Rings? Let me do my Lord of the Rings one real quick, and then you can. So
go ahead.
My thing would be, I would love to see kind of the behind the scenes of the films. Like, not necessarily the production of the films, but like I would love to see
the writing room.
Like when Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh were early, like trying to sell it to studios, and some of the stuff they had to pull off, and some of the kind of like they had to, at one point they only had like one shot with one of the studios, and they kind of had to pretend like they were busy, so the other studio thought they had other offers. And like I would love to just be a fly on the wall for some of that stuff, and to see how that kind of unfolded. Another one that's not really Middle Earth, just because there's so much legendary. Like he is a legend. Like there's all these like tall tales about George Washington. I would love to go back to the beginning of the United States to see, like what were those guys really like? What was George Washington really, this like larger than life figure that commanded? I mean, all accounts. I mean, even Ken Burns is getting ready to release one of his documentaries on the Revolutionary War. He spent like a decade on it. He's an amazing guy. So fascinating. His films are just seminal, right? And he was talking about, he's like, he was incredible. He was this guy. And you talk about someone who like Tolkien and Lucas like let people play in his world, right? You've got a guy who led our country to independence and then was unanimously elected as the leader. Yeah. And then got people saying, we're going to call you Your Majesty, Your Highness. He was like, dude, no. That's what we just came from. And then, wanted him to be the ruler until he died, and he stepped away after 8 years. And that's the reason we had like 4-year terms and stuff, and eventually a cap on it. Yeah. It's pretty amazing to see, like, did he have things that were terrible about him? I'm sure every human being does. That's where I hate when we go back and we're like, well, he was, he probably was. Yeah. But there were also, because you have bad things. Yeah.
What's interesting is it'd be cool to go back. See, that's the thing. I think when you listen to the older generation, and my dad, he loves talking about, his generation and just what they think and stuff. Yep. And I'm like, they grew up in a different time. That really shaped their whole life, that shaped their whole world. And so it's like, yeah, what, just to go back there and see what it was all like, and to be around the people, the culture, and man, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. I think for me, I would want to see the creation of the freaking Great Pyramids, dude.
Dude, aliens, bro.
I don't even
or
know.
Or maybe not. Just slaves. The slaves. It was the slaves.
Was it? I have no clue. That's the whole point. I want to go back and see, dude. It's insane. One of the wonders of the world. So it's like, how did they freaking do that, dude? When I realized that, like, they were talking about the hieroglyphs or whatever, like the Egyptian language that's on there, or that's in Egypt. It's not in the pyramids. It's like secondary. It's after that. There's no original writings on there and stuff, dude.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. So anyway,
how did they do it?
How did they do it, bro? There you go.
I mean, maybe in a couple weeks, or not in a couple, like next week when Atlas shows up, maybe we'll get some more pyramids. Who knows? Okay, and then the last one. What's the most meaningful letter you've ever been sent or received?
And that one's easy for me. That was I found it. That was the letter that was left for me by my mom.
From your mom. Mm.
Yeah, and so and I always, anytime there's a chance to talk about that, I just want to say really quickly to anybody out there who's struggling with loss, or you've had a recent loss in your life. Her line that I barely touched on it with my father in terms of conversation, but I thought, man, when Mom wrote that and she underlined, the idea that that nothing can separate the bond between our hearts. Mm-hmm. Okay, Mom knows she's dying. She knows that death is coming, and she has to depart this world, and that we can't speak anymore. But yet, she wrote and emphasized to me, nothing can separate the bond between our hearts. And I'm thinking, man, Mom knows. You look at the Bible, everyone says, like biblically, my mom was a devout, Christian, and she even, I never talked to her about it specifically, but like, you go to heaven, and the idea is that, like, well, you know nothing about anyone down here. It's all all washed away. It's all these different things, and you wouldn't know what happened to me. And no, not according to my mother. Yeah, not according to her.
What
there
would
is
it all
nothing.
Be for if that was the case? I've never. That's always made me feel so uncomfortable.
I've yet to really bring it up to my dad and talk about it, but it's just like, there is nothing. And this is again her words. Yeah. And I didn't expect it from her. I thought, just a goodbye or whatever, but to emphasize nothing, not even death. Yeah. Nothing can separate that bond. And it's true. The bond exists. It really is there. And it's like, it was there. It was there before. It was always there. I think about like, Lottie and I were talking today with about my son Lucas, and we were just sort of like, we were talking about like at this time right before he showed up, before we knew we were even pregnant or even trying, and she goes, "Where was he?"
Yeah.
Where was he?
Yeah. Where
just
was he?
like where was he? You know what I mean? So it's dude, I love it. Life, it's just so fascinating, man. It's so crazy. So life's beautiful, wonderful, crazy. But yeah, that's mine. So that was the letter that she left me. That was just like, wow. Stunning.
That that mantra has passed into our family. I mean, like Sarah says that all the time, dude. Anytime we're having difficulty, anytime we've had to. Last 4 years, I kind of talked about it at the top of the episode, only briefly though, like going for hours in detail about it. But like we've had a lot of time we've had to be separated, where we haven't been able to physically be together. Right. And Sarah will say it time and time again. I mean, the kids are going to think it came from Sarah, and Sarah's going to tell them that it came from Uncle Ez's mom. Yeah, and she does, and and that she says it all the time. There's a book called The Invisible String. It's a kid's book, and it's exactly about that thing. Like their hearts are tied together with an invisible string. Amen. That they can't be seen, but is as real as anything. And yeah, and I mean, I've heard the girls say it. That nothing can separate our hearts, and
nothing. And nothing can. And dude, if anything from that, I was so excited to share that. Actually. Not excited, but I mean, I was happy I was able to share it on the podcast and with you guys and anybody who I come across. And I'm just sort of like, man, that was something my mom left that I don't think I don't know, she just. Yeah, she probably,
I don't know. Like, did she know the impact? I wonder if she did. Underline it,
right? I bet she did. I bet she did. And it just blows me away. Yeah. So anyways. Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay, I have a runner-up. Before I met my wife, my dad... This would have been the one. My dad wrote me a letter. I mean, it was something goofy. I I was kind of like done with sports. I didn't want to play sports anymore, but I was worried about quitting because my whole kind of like identity was playing baseball, playing basketball. I loved it and I was obsessed with it. And I was like a teenager. I'd fallen in love with Lord of the Rings. I had reconnected with like my desire to do art, which had kind of been like I had been scared away from when I was younger. And anyway, he wrote me this letter. I still have it. It's in my Bible somewhere, wherever my Bible is. Sorry, guys. I don't know where my Bible is right now. It's in storage. Don't worry. I didn't get rid of it. But he it was in his old. Dad always used that yellow
notebook,
like
paper.
legal pad stuff. Yeah. It was 3 or 4 pages long. I remember the thing I remembered. The thing I remember the most is a line that he said, like, the things that you do now don't define you. And he was saying you're more. It was specifically about sports. He was saying you're more than sports. Right. You're more than these things. Like, and it really, I think until that time, dude, I had been kind of afraid to be like, yeah, I can be lots of different things. I can be this and that, and I don't have to make sense. I can have all these. I have a wide, and I saw it. My parents both have like very wide interests.
Range.
Right. All over the place, scope. And so anyway, it really made me feel free. But the most important one of all time is, dude, we still have it. We were writing on like a little, what was it, like a cheap planner that one of us had or something, or a little one of those little pocket calendars or whatever. Yeah. Sarah and I, on the plane ride home from San Diego, just wrote these little. We weren't sitting together. We wanted to sit together to talk, but it didn't happen. And we were just writing these little letters back and forth about how we wanted to spend our lives together after knowing each other for like 10 days, Yeah. And
that's awesome.
We still have one, and it was like literally there was the page with a map, and we put a little heart around San Diego, and I can't remember what it says, but I just remember that feeling of I was like, yeah, dude, she's the one. I was like, she's the one.
Yep,
she's the one who I can live my life with. And I'd always hoped I would find, but never thought I would. I thought I'd have to settle for someone who, was a great person in their own right, but maybe not the person for me. And a huge wave of relief and elation and joy. So that's got to be number one. Yeah, for sure.
It's freaking awesome.
All right, baby. Well, strawberries with cream. I'm full from all that. I'm stuffed.
Hey, by the way, we ate the strawberries and cream.
Good. Were they delicious?
Yeah, they were delicious, bro. Like, Lottie loved every second of it.
I'm glad. Because I was worried. I think she was worried that she wasn't going to get any. And I was like, dude, Lottie, please have. Like, remember we were like, go eat some, please. Like, I bought an entire quart. We weren't going to eat all that
bless
stuff.
Her heart. She was like, let me know when you guys do the strawberries with cream.
Easy cow,
I was like, sweetie, it's been a week later. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, it was so funny. Because normally it's like just 2 hours later, but it was so funny.
Dude, it was. I'm glad. I'm glad that they were enjoyable.
It was good. Really good.
All right, time to share the load, right, dog? I mean, we're wrapping up here. There's lots of ways that you can. Instagram is the best way to get a hold of us these days, at @UpTalkinTolkien. Send us DMs. You can tag us and stuff. You can polls are going up there all the time. We've had great responses too. I remember thinking, like, we start polls again, we're gonna get like 4 people, which will be fine, but it's gonna be kind of, 40, 50, 60 people are replying to these regularly. I'm putting them up all the time, and then I'm kind of putting them in a highlight on our page, so you can go back and they're saved, and you can go look at these old polls through our reels, which is really fun. Patreon's a great way. It's restructured. We got all kinds of tiers. This man over here, the Tolkien tutor over here, has worked tirelessly to curate a really rewarding Patreon system and ecosystem that you can go into and find a spot for yourself. It's kind of a subcategory that's Discord. Discord is back.
Discord is free for all the text channels. If you've ever wanted just to chat with other people, our patrons, Lane and me, if you just want an open forum just to kind of go chat, Discord link is in the description. Go check that out and literally come enjoy that. The live recordings are for our paid patrons. We do those before every big recording every other Friday. And also, if you sign up at the White Council or the Lords and Ladies of Gondolin, you can speak to us every 2 weeks. Dude, it's just like I wanted to make it be like something that we're doing already. We're sitting down and just make it this extra rewarding, fun thing experience. And I really want it to be fun for people. And I'm having, dude, in the House of Flower, thank God I'm finally back in there chatting today because I got my car situation figured out. So I'm back chatting. Yeah, it's been amazing. I love this. I love this group, and I love the people in it, and the friendships and the connections we're making is just, that's unreal. So
it's unreal. It is. It's like it's a return, and it's an amazing part.
Just in time,
dude. Yep, timing is perfect. So yeah, Patreon's away, and again, we talked about this. Like, Ez and I were both in single income families. We're looking for ways to, we're gonna have to. We would have to get a part-time job, and we thought, maybe we can restructure the podcast in a way that we can actually enjoy having a part-time job, and so that's kind of the way we're looking at this new adventure into the Silmarillion and everything. And another way is downloading episodes, watching stuff on YouTube. We're getting ad revenue from both. Right. That's something that you can do to help support us, support the podcast, support the channel. There are going to be discount codes coming up. Actually with Firelight Fables. If you candles, if you want to use the Fire It Up discount code, promo code, it's back. You get 10% off of candles. We're also going to have a collaboration or a promo code with a t-shirt company coming up.
Yes.
So, and we get a little kickback from that as well, which is cool. So there are ways that you can get things you're going to get anyway, support other really talented, amazing people, and also kind of support us as well. So yeah.
And I just want to say, like, that is what Lane and I were looking at when we restructured this and we're relaunching this. We've been really building this up, right? Because this is something we're going to be doing every other fortnight, just like we did before. Yep. It's back, baby, and it's going to be freaking solid. It's going to be awesome. There will be things.
We're kicking it off with 3 straight weeks, dude. That's what's kind of crazy.
3 straight weeks. I know. We're like next weeks. On Halloween. You guys will hear, like, again.
Next hangout.
Come on, baby. We're getting after it. But yeah, just keep in mind, like, that's we don't want to go get part-time jobs somewhere else. We want to do this, so we would love if you guys would support us and help us out. And again, just, I know it's sometimes hard to find, like Rachel was saying, friends in a community to enjoy this with. And so we want to create that for you guys, and we want to make it the best experience that we can. So
absolutely,
we're committed, buddy. Yep. I don't see an end in sight. So
I don't either, man. We're back, and we feel better than ever, and we can't thank you enough for sticking with us. Another cool thing, I mean, obviously you can leave reviews, you can follow us on other platforms, you can send us your Tolkien story. All that stuff is ways that you can support us. If you ever want to send us anything in the post,
shout out to Susie, by the way.
Oh,
right, back here.
The paintings.
Dude, my Gandalf.
I need to put mine up behind.
I'm going to bring that up here as more of a feature in artwork and stuff. So this is the North Farthing studio where I'm at right now, and Lane's down in the he's down in Hobbiton. He's down in Bag End.
Yep.
And essentially, we're going to have, like, if you want stuff in the shot, or if you want us to feature some of your artwork, or you want to whatever, get it to us. We'll put it up here. We're going to find a way to feature it more, show it, talk about you, put your handle in. So we would love that kind of stuff. And we used to have people submit songs and things and different stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's time, baby. It's time.
Remember, Come Back to Me?
Dude, come back to me, man. It's like, God. Yes. So just keep in mind that we are open. Like, there's pathways on Patreon, there's pathways on Instagram, there's pathways through the mail to get on the show, to have your voice on the show, to have your stuff on the show. Like this is an open community. It's freaking Middle Earth, dude. It's not about Lane and Ez. It's about you guys. It's about all of us enjoying Tolkien's Legendarium together.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. Yeah, and if you want us to send us anything in the mail, shoot it to the Shire P.O. Box 96, Amanda, Ohio 43102. I'll make sure if it's something, you send something specifically to Ez, I'll get it up to him, or he'll grab it when he's down here because he's going to be coming down to Bag End to record, just like I'm going up to the North Farthing. Feel free to send it our way. Want to give again a special thanks to our lords and ladies of Gondolin on Patreon, Susie, Amanda, Kevin, and Aaron. Thank you for that support. We really appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the Instagram DM, House of the Golden Flower. And dude, it's time. It's time for some Fortnite farewells.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for making some just beautiful music with us, baby. Making some music with us, baby. Come on. And surviving the Discord. Next time, we'll take a closer look at some higher beings in our second episode in the Silmarillion, the Valaquenta.
The Valaquenta. Man, I had to conjure every bit of my voice to get that Valaquenta. Okay.
Can you do one more line?
Maybe one more line. Here we go. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a Shadowfax.
That's for you, Steve. We'll see you in a fortnight, and remember, Aru sings.
Dude, I think that's the weakest whistle I've ever done in my life.